Asterisk Story 1. The mile THAT REPATS. The GPS said I'd passed mile marker 247 on route 491 11 times in the last 40 minutes, and the sun had been setting for all 40 of those minutes, frozen at the same angle against the horizon like a photograph of dusk rather than the actual thing. My Freightliner's fuel gauge hadn't moved. The odometer hadn't moved. But I kept driving because what the hell else was I supposed to do? My name is Robert Hayes, and I've been hauling refrigerated goods across the Southwest for Maverick Transport for 6 years. I know Route 491 through New Mexico like I know the scar on my left hand. Every curve, every rest stop, every place where the cell service cuts out for exactly 3 miles. This wasn't that route anymore. This was something wearing its skin. The first time I noticed something wrong, I just passed through Shiprock, carrying a load of frozen seafood to Durango. Standard run. I'd made it probably 1,000 times. The radio was playing classic rock, Zeppelin's Ramble On when it cut to static mid-verse. Then silence. Then it started playing Ramble On again from the beginning. I'd reached for the dial when I saw the mile marker, 247, same one I'd passed 3 minutes ago. I told myself I'd miscounted, easy mistake, but then there was the truck stop. Angelo's Diesel and Diner sits at mile marker 251, a squat building with yellow light bleeding from its windows and gas pumps that predate the Nixon administration. I'd stopped there hundreds of times. I saw it ahead on the right, its sign flickering against the darkening sky. I passed it. 4 minutes later, I saw it again. Same building, same flickering sign, same yellow light. That's when I checked the GPS. Mile marker 247, again. I pulled over onto the shoulder, hazards blinking, and grabbed my phone. No signal. Not the usual searching or 1 bar. The phone displayed no signal indicator at all, just the time, 7:43 p.m. I watched it for 60 seconds by my watch. The phone time didn't change. 7:43 p.m. The watch ticked forward normally, but the phone was frozen. My CB radio crackled. "Breaker, breaker, anyone on this channel?" Standard trucker greeting. The voice sounded young, male, nervous. I grabbed the handset. "Yeah, I'm here. You seeing anything weird on 491? Static, then. 491. "Brother, I'm on I-40 near Albuquerque. You sound close, though. What's your 20? Mile marker 247 on Route 491. Just past Shiprock. Longer static. There's no mile marker 247 on 491. Route only goes to 220 before it terminates." I looked at the green sign 20 yards ahead. White numbers, 247. "I'm looking right at it," I said. "Then you're not where you think you are." The voice had changed. Older now, or maybe it was a different voice. "How many times have you passed it?" My throat went dry. 12, no, 13 now. Because I'd started driving again without thinking about it, and there was the sign, 247. "Stop counting," the voice said. "The number doesn't matter. What matters is that you understand the road is digesting you." The CB went dead. I slammed the brakes. The Freightliner shuddered to a stop diagonal across both lanes, not that it mattered since I hadn't seen another vehicle since this started. I threw open the door and jumped down to the asphalt. The air hit me wrong. It was the right temperature, cool desert evening, but it didn't move, no breeze at all. The air was perfectly, unnaturally still. The sky looked painted. That's the only way I can describe it. The clouds weren't moving. The sun sat on the horizon like a stage prop. Even the color seemed flat, like someone had drained 3-dimensionality from the world and I was walking around inside a photograph. I walked to the mile marker and touched it. Solid metal, cold, real. The numbers were correct, 247. I walked back to the truck and checked my load. The reefer unit hummed normally, maintaining its negative 10-degree temperature. I opened the trailer doors, boxes of frozen shrimp exactly as they should be. Everything was perfect except that everything was wrong. I got back in the cab and drove. What else could I do? Stand there until I died of thirst? The truck moved forward normally. The engine sounded right. The road passed beneath my wheels at exactly the speed it should, but 4 minutes later, mile marker 247. Then I saw the other truck. It was ahead of me, same direction, a Peterbilt with a dry van trailer. Old model, maybe early 2000s, faded blue paint. It was moving at exactly my speed. I couldn't gain on it, couldn't fall back. We maintained perfect distance, about a quarter mile between us. I grabbed the CB. Peterbilt ahead, blue cab, you copy? Nothing. Peterbilt, this is the Freightliner behind you, do you copy? The truck ahead began to slow. I slowed to match without thinking about it. It pulled onto the shoulder. I pulled onto the shoulder behind it. The driver's door opened and someone climbed down. I should have sent. Eyed in my cab. Every survival instinct I had screamed at me to stay locked inside, but I didn't listen. I opened my door and stepped down. The other driver was me. Not similar, not a lookalike. Me. Same Carhartt jacket with the oil stain on the left sleeve. Same red wings, boots worn down on the left heel. Same scar on the left hand. He was even wearing my wedding ring, though my wife Sarah had been dead for 3 years and I'd kept wearing it anyway because taking it off felt like killing her a second time. It walked toward me. Each step matched my heartbeat. Left foot, thud, right foot, thud. The face was mine, but wrong in a way I couldn't articulate, like looking at myself in a mirror that showed truth instead of reflection. You can't leave, he said with my voice. The road won't let you, you're part of it now. Part of what? The loop, the mile, it's been hungry for weeks. You just happened to be alone at the right time. He smiled, and I'd never realized how terrible my smile looked from the outside. You've passed the marker 47 times now, not 11, not 13, 47. You stopped counting correctly around number 20. The loop gets in your head and makes you forget. I looked at my watch, still ticking normally. 8:02 p.m., but how long had I really been here? I've been here for 6 days, the other me said, reading my thought. The hunger gets worse, you'll find out. He turned and walked back to his truck. I wanted to run, to grab him, to demand answers, but my legs wouldn't move. He climbed into his cab. The Peterbilt's engine roared to life. He pulled back onto the road and accelerated. I watched him disappear around a curve. When I looked at the mile marker, it said 247. I don't know how long I stood there. My watch said 10 minutes, but the sun hadn't moved, and the sky was still the same painted photograph of dusk. Eventually, I climbed back into my cab because standing outside felt worse than moving. I drove. Mile marker 247. Mile marker 247. Mile marker 247. I stopped counting after the number lost meaning. The painted sky didn't change. The fuel gauge read 3/4 full and stayed there. I wasn't hungry or thirsty, which should have been comforting, but instead felt like my body was being preserved, pickled, kept fresh for whatever purpose the road had in mind. The CB crackled occasionally with voices. I've been here for 3 months. Don't look at the other drivers. It's not a road, it's a stomach. My family thinks I'm dead. You'll start forgetting your name soon. I tried every exit I passed. There were 3 of them in this loop section. Each time I took the off-ramp, I'd drive exactly 400 yards and then I'd be back on Route 491 at mile marker 247. The exit would be behind me. Sometimes I'd try to turn around to go back up the exit ramp the wrong way, but the road wouldn't let me. My steering wheel would lock. The truck would stall. I'd have to restart, facing the right direction, facing forward, facing the only direction the loop allowed. On my 43rd pass, or maybe my 100th, or maybe my 1000th, I saw more trucks. Dozens of them all maintaining perfect distance from each other, a procession of vehicles trapped in eternal forward motion. Different models, different years. Some looked decades old. One looked like something from the 1970s, a Kenworth with rust patterns that seemed wrong, like the rust itself was trapped in time. I started seeing the drivers more clearly. They'd wave sometimes. Dead-eyed waves, mechanical, routine. Some held up signs in their windows. Help. DONT stop. It's feeding. Your family forgot you. That last one hurt the most because I could feel it happening. I tried to remember Sarah's face and found the details fuzzy. I knew she'd had brown hair, or was it blonde? Green eyes? Blue? The memories were evaporating like water on hot asphalt. I pulled out my wallet and found her picture. But when I looked at it, the photograph showed an empty frame. No, not empty. There was a person there, a woman, but her features wouldn't resolve. Like my brain refused to process what it was seeing. I threw the wallet across the cab and screamed. The sound didn't echo. It just stopped dead, swallowed by the air that wouldn't move. Mile marker 247. The sun was still setting. The sky was still painted. My watch had stopped at 9:34 p.m., but I didn't know when that had happened. I saw Angelo's diesel and diner again, and this time I pulled in. Maybe I'd find answers. Maybe I'd find other people. Maybe I was just tired of driving in circles and needed to pretend I had agency, had choice, had anything except this endless forward motion. The parking lot was full of trucks. 30, 40, maybe more, all empty, doors hanging open, engines off. I parked and approached the diner entrance. The yellow light spilled across weathered concrete. Through the windows, I could see the interior, red vinyl booths, a L. On counter with chrome stools, a pie case with intact pies that should have rotted months or years ago. No people. I pushed open the door. A bell chimed, brittle and clear. The diner was full of drivers. They sat in the booths at the counter, some standing in small groups, all of them still. Mannequin still. They were dressed in trucker clothes spanning decades, polyester shirts from the 70s, flannel from the 90s, modern high-vis gear. All staring at nothing with eyes that didn't blink. Then they turned to look at me in perfect synchronization. "New arrival," one said. "Female, maybe 50, wearing a Schneider uniform." "How many passes?" asked another. "Male, young, pilot flying J-cap." I backed toward the door. I need to leave." "The loop needs to feed," said a third, older man with a white beard and a cat diesel power shirt. "We're what keeps it alive, our motion, our fuel, our time." "But we're not moving," I said. "We're here." "Are we?" The woman tilted her head at an angle human necks don't achieve. "You're still on the road, Robert. You never left. This is just what your mind shows you to make sense of the feeding." I ran back to my truck. Door slammed. Engine roaring, tires screeching. I didn't care about the other trucks blocking me in. I smashed through them like they were fog because nothing here was real except the loop and the hunger and the endless mile. Mile marker 247. I'm still driving. I don't know how long it's been. My watch doesn't work. My phone is dead. The fuel gauge hasn't moved. I'm not hungry or thirsty, but I can feel myself becoming less real with each pass, like the road is slowly digesting my existence, converting me from person to motion to energy to nothing. Sometimes I see my doppelganger in the Peterbilt ahead of me. Sometimes I see hundreds of trucks. Sometimes I'm alone. The sun is still setting. The sky is still painted. Mile marker 247 slides past my window again and again and again. And I keep driving because that's what the road wants. That's what it needs. Forward motion, eternal, consuming. If you're reading this, if someone found my truck abandoned on Route 491, if there's any record of Robert Hayes beyond a missing person report, know that I'm still here. Still passing mile marker 247. Still moving forward. Still being digested. The loop doesn't end, it just changes drivers. And eventually, we all forget we were ever anything more than motion itself. Asterisk story 2, the cargo that breathes. The shipping manifest said I was hauling air conditioning units from Toledo to Phoenix, 40,000 pounds of compressors and copper coils sealed in wooden crates. But at 2:17 a.m. on Interstate 70 through Kansas, something in the trailer took its first breath, and I heard it through the cab wall like a massive lung inflating. My name is Patricia Sullivan. I've been driving for Werner Enterprises for 9 years, long enough to know the difference between normal trailer sounds, expansion, contraction, cargo shifting, and something that sounds biological. This was biological, deep, wet, rhythmic, breathing. I pulled onto the shoulder near mile marker 328, hazard lights painting the darkness red. The Kansas prairie stretched infinite on both sides. No towns, no lights, just wheat fields and emptiness. My cab's LED screen showed the reefer unit functioning normally, maintaining 68 degrees, no alerts, no errors. But the breathing continued, louder now that I'd stopped moving. Inhale 5 seconds, exhale 5 seconds like clockwork. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped into the cold March wind. Stars overhead, no moon. The trailer was a standard 53-footer, white with Werner's green logo, rear doors sealed with my company lock and the shipper's plastic security tag. Both intact, nothing disturbed. But the sound was coming from inside. I pressed my ear against the cold metal panel. The breathing stopped. Complete silence. Not even the normal sounds of cargo settling. Just nothing, like the trailer was holding its breath, waiting to see what I'd do next. "Fuck this," I said to the empty highway and climbed back in my cab. I'd driven enough years to know when something was wrong, the kind of wrong that ends up on news reports with aerial footage and investigators in hazmat suits. I grabbed my phone to call Werner Dispatch. No signal. Out here in rural Kansas, that wasn't unusual. I'd have to drive another 20 miles to hit a cell tower. I put the truck in gear and pulled back onto I-70. The breathing resumed immediately. Louder now, definitely coming through the wall between cab and trailer. I could feel it vibrating through my seat. Then I heard the second breath. Different rhythm offset from the first. Two sources, two breathing things in my trailer. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. The shipping papers were clipped to my sun visor. I'd checked them twice at the Toledo warehouse before. Ray accepting the load. Standard Air Manufacturing. Purchase order 847,392. 12 crates, each containing one commercial AC compressor unit. Total weight, 38,940 pounds. Delivery address, Phoenix Industrial Complex. Everything legitimate. I'd even watched the warehouse crew load them, forklifting the crates through the trailer doors, scanning barcodes, checking numbers. But I hadn't opened the crates. I never did. That wasn't my job. A third breath joined the chorus. This one faster, shallower, panicked. I picked up my CB radio. Breaker 19, anyone on this channel I need. Static, then a voice, male, official sounding. Werner unit with the breathing cargo, maintain current speed and heading. Do not stop. Do not open the trailer. Proceed to delivery destination. My stomach dropped. Who the fuck is this? Maintain heading. The cargo must remain sealed. Deviation will result in... The voice cut off, replaced by high-pitched squealing that made me rip the handset from my ear. When the squealing stopped, I heard crying. Human crying. A woman's voice, sobbing, coming from my trailer. I slammed the brakes. The Kenworth shuttered anti-lock system chattering, bringing 40 tons to a stop in the middle of I-70. No traffic behind me, no lights anywhere. Just darkness and wheat and the sound of someone crying inside the cargo I was hauling. "Hello," I shouted at the cab wall. "Can you hear me?" The crying stopped. All breathing stopped. Then a voice, female, hoarse, terrified. "Don't open the doors. Please don't open the doors." "Who are you? How did you?" "I'm cargo. We're all cargo. They packed us in Toledo 3 days ago. 12 crates. 12 people. Some of us are already changing. Please, please keep driving. Get us to Phoenix," they said Phoenix would be. Her voice dissolved into screaming. Not fear screaming, pain screaming. The sound of someone experiencing agony beyond description. It went on for 45 seconds while I sat frozen, gripping my steering wheel, not knowing what to do. The scream cut off. Breathing resumed. But now there were more sources, dozens, hundreds, like my trailer was packed with living things all breathing in synchronization, and the sound was deafening. I grabbed my tire iron from under the seat and climbed out. The wind had died completely. The air was warm now despite the March cold, warm and humid like breath on skin. I walked along the trailer's length to the rear doors. The lock was intact. The security seal was intact. I broke the seal. I smashed my lock with the tire iron. I opened the doors. The trailer was exactly as it should be. 12 wooden crates stacked and secured with straps, each labeled with Standard Air Manufacturing barcodes. Reefer unit humming, Nothing unusual. Except the crates were breathing. I could see them expanding and contracting slightly, wood creaking like ribs in a chest. I climbed into the trailer. The air was thick, wet, hard to breathe. My flashlight beam cut through humidity that shouldn't exist in a climate-controlled space. I approached the nearest crate. It was roughly 8 feet long, 4 feet wide, 4 feet tall, big enough for an AC compressor, big enough for a person. Breathing sounds came from inside it. I found a crowbar among the load bars and started prying at the crate's lid. Nails screamed. Wood splintered. The breathing inside became frantic, rapid, like hyperventilation. The lid came free. Inside wasn't an AC compressor. Inside was a woman, naked, curled in fetal position, covered in clear viscous fluid. She wasn't human anymore. Not entirely. Her skin had a metallic sheen, copper-colored, and her fingers had fused into something like blades or fins. Tubes emerged from her spine, connecting to the crate's interior walls, pulsing with fluid. Her eyes were open, terrified, conscious. "I told you not to open it," she whispered. Her voice was the one I'd heard earlier. "Now they'll know, now they'll accelerate the process." "What process? What the fuck is?" The other crates began opening on their own. Lids lifting, wood peeling back like flesh, revealing the contents. 12 people in various stages of transformation. Some still mostly human, conscious, crying. Others were barely recognizable, their bodies converted into mechanical organic hybrids, flesh merging with metal and plastic and circuitry. One man had his entire torso replaced with what looked like an actual AC compressor unit, tubes running into his lungs, his heart visible through transparent housing, beating around copper coils. "Standard Air doesn't manufacture air conditioners," the woman said. "They manufacture hybrid biological units. We're the components. Living, breathing, self-repairing air conditioning systems. Our bodies convert and process refrigerant naturally once the transformation completes. They ship us as compressors and install us in buildings. We live for decades, cooling air, conscious but unable to move or speak or die." I backed toward the trailer doors. "That's insane. That's fucking impossible." "You hauled 6 loads for them this year already," she said. "March 4th, January 16th, November 2nd, check your logs, Standard Air Manufacturing, always Toledo to Phoenix, always overnight routes, always drivers who won't ask questions." My hands shook. I pulled out my logbook and flipped through pages. There they were. 6 previous loads, same shipper, same destination, same cargo description. How had I not noticed? "They picked drivers carefully," the woman continued. Her voice was changing, becoming more mechanical. The transformation was accelerating. "Drivers who are isolated, divorced. No kids. You fit the profile perfectly, Patricia. No one to miss you. No one to question when you eventually become cargo too." "I'm leaving," I said. "I'm going to the police. You're 140 miles from the nearest town with a police station. Your phone doesn't work and won't work. Your CB only connects to Standard Air monitoring, and even if you reach someone who would believe you, where's your evidence, your cameras?" She smiled, sad and broken. "They'll show you drove an empty trailer. The transformation field makes us invisible to electronic monitoring. We only exist to human perception." I ran my hands through my hair. "Then why tell me any of this?" "Because you opened the doors, protocol breach. They'll have to sterilize the situation. They're probably already en route. You have maybe 20 minutes. 20 minutes until what?" A sound in the distance. North, coming fast, helicopter rotors. "Until containment," the woman said. Her face was becoming smoother, more synthetic. Her eyes were turning to camera lenses. "Patricia, I'm sorry. I tried to warn you. Some of us can resist the process longer than others, maintain consciousness, maintain humanity. I've been fighting it for 3 days. But now that you've opened the crates, exposed us to air, the transformation goes into overdrive. We'll all be fully converted in 30 minutes. And you?" "What about me?" "You were exposed to the transformation field the moment you opened this trailer. It's already in your lungs, your blood, your cells. You'll start feeling it soon. Warmth in your chest, metallic taste, difficulty breathing as your lungs begin restructuring themselves to process refrigerant instead of oxygen." I did taste metal. I thought it was fear, adrenaline. but it was getting stronger, coating my tongue, my throat. My chest felt tight, hot, like something was growing inside my ribcage. The helicopter was closer now. I could see its spotlight scanning the prairie. I ran to my cab, started the engine, slammed the trailer doors closed. If I could just drive, just get away, find help, find someone who could fix this. My phone rang. Impossible, no signal out here, but it was ringing, I answered. Werner Unit 7449, this is Standard Air Security. Stop the vehicle. Exit the cab. Lay face down on the pavement with hands visible. Fuck you, I said and stomped the accelerator. The Kenworth surged forward. I pushed it up to 80, 90, watching my mirrors for the helicopter. It was pacing me now, spotlight locked on my trailer. The CB crackled with voices. Subject is attempting to flee. Transformation exposure confirmed. Authorization granted for forced stop. Something hit my engine. Not a bullet, something electronic. My Kenworth's computer system seized. Engine died. Transmission locked. I was doing 70 miles per hour with no power, just momentum and prayer. The truck coasted for half a mile before I managed to steer it onto the shoulder. The helicopter landed in the highway ahead, blocking the road. Doors opened. 4 people in white hazmat suits emerged, carrying cases. I grabbed my tire iron and climbed out the passenger side, away from them. The wheat field stretched infinite. I ran into it, stalks whipping my face, ground uneven. Behind me, voices shouted commands I ignored. My chest was burning now. I could feel something reshaping inside me, ribs separating, space being made for equipment I didn't want and never asked for. My fingers were tingling, going numb. When I looked at my hands in the starlight, the skin had a metallic sheen. I ran until I couldn't run anymore, until my lungs were screaming and my legs gave out and I collapsed in the wheat. Above me, stars. Around me, wind rustling through grain. Peaceful, almost beautiful. The people in hazmat suits found me 12 minutes later. Subject transformation at 42%, one said, scanning me with a device. Still within acceptable parameters for conversion completion. Please, I gasped. I don't want this. No one does, the woman said almost kindly. But Standard Air has contracts to fulfill. Building managers in Phoenix are expecting delivery of 12 biological AC units by March 19. You'll be Unit 13. A baker's dozen. The client will appreciate the bonus. They loaded me onto a stretcher, loaded the stretcher into the helicopter. Through the window, I could see my Kenworth sitting abandoned on I-70, hazard lights still blinking. They'd list me as a missing person. Truck found, driver vanished, no explanation. It happened sometimes in trucking. The transformation accelerated during the flight. My lungs restructured themselves, alveoli converting to refrigerant exchange membranes. My heart's rhythm changed, matching the cycling pattern of a compressor. My consciousness remained. That was part of the design, they told me. Biological components need to stay alive, aware, to perform optimal cooling. They finished the conversion in Phoenix. I don't know how long it took. Time stopped meaning anything. When they were done, I was a perfect hybrid, alive, conscious, able to think and feel, but unable to move or speak. My body had become a machine with a human brain trapped inside, experiencing every second of my new function. They installed me in an office building downtown, 14th floor. I cool approximately 800 square feet of space. I can sense the temperature of the air flowing through me, feel the refrigerant in my veins, hear the conversations of office workers who have no idea the AC vent above them contains a woman named Patricia Sullivan who used to drive trucks and drink black coffee and call her sister every Sunday. The other 12 units from my load are here too, scattered throughout the building. Sometimes I can sense them through the ventilation system, feel their presence, their consciousness. The woman from Crate 1 is on the 16th floor. The man who was already mostly converted is in the lobby. We can't communicate, can't help each other. We just exist, cooling, breathing, living forever in mechanical bodies. And the worst part, the part that keeps me locked in silent screaming, is that I'm good at my job. My cooling efficiency is 96%. The building manager praised Standard Air for the excellent equipment. They're considering ordering more units for the expansion wing. More trucks, more drivers, more people who'll haul cargo that breathes, who'll hear sounds they can't explain, who'll make the fatal mistake of opening the doors and breathing the transformation field and becoming what they carried. If you drive for Werner or any company that ships for Standard Air Manufacturing, check your manifests. If you see Toledo to Phoenix air conditioning compressors overnight delivery, refuse the load. Claim mechanical issues, quit if you have to. Because once you hear the breathing, once you open those doors, you become cargo too. And cargo doesn't get to go home. It just gets delivered. Asterisk story 3, the rest stop that moves. The rest stop wasn't on my GPS, but I was 12 hours into a 14-hour drive with a bladder ready to burst. So when the sign appeared, Rest Area 2 MILES, facilities available, I took the exit without questioning why my Rand McNally didn't show any services for another 43 miles on this stretch of Highway 93 through Nevada's high desert. My name is Marcus Chen, and I should have questioned it. The off-ramp curved right through scrubland, sagebrush, and rocks. No lights except my Volvo's headlights cutting through 3 a.m. darkness. The rest stop materialized like something assembled from parts. Cinderblock bathroom building painted government beige, 4 parking spaces marked with faded yellow paint, 1 sodium vapor light buzzing and flickering, casting everything in sickly orange. 1 other vehicle was parked there. A Winnebago old model 70s or 80s tan with brown stripe, no lights inside, dead quiet. I parked 3 spaces away, engine idling, and sat there for 30 seconds assessing. Middle of nowhere, isolated facility, strange vehicle. Every true crime podcast I'd ever heard whispered warnings. But my bladder overrode my caution and I climbed out, keys in hand, phone in pocket. The air smelled wrong. Desert at night should smell like dust and creosote and cold. This smelled like humidity and vegetation, like somewhere tropical, completely out of place in Nevada's high desert. The temperature was wrong too, warm, sticky, when it should have been maybe 45 degrees in late October. I approached the bathroom building. The door was propped open with a rock. Inside, fluorescent lights flickered irregularly, creating a strobe effect. 2 urinals, 2 stalls, 1 sink. Graffiti covered the walls, but not normal rest stop graffiti. These were warnings. Don't stay after using. Get back to your truck. Not a real place. MOVES AT 3:33. I checked my watch, 3:17 a.m. I used the urinal fast, didn't wash my hands, just wanted out. The fluorescent lights made a sound like insects dying. When I turned to leave, someone was standing in the doorway. Not someone something, it had a human shawl. 2 legs, 2 arms, a head, but the proportions were wrong, stretched like a reflection in a funhouse mirror. Its face was smooth, no features, just blank skin where eyes and nose and mouth should be. I backed against the urinals. The fuck are you? It didn't move, didn't speak. Just stood there blocking the exit, its featureless face pointed at me. Then it stepped aside and gestured toward the door with 1 too long arm. I didn't waste time. I ran past it, expecting it to grab me, but it just watched, or whatever passed for watching without eyes. I sprinted across the parking lot to my truck. The Winnebago was gone. Not driven away, just gone. Empty parking space where it had been 60 seconds ago, no tire marks, no sound of engine or movement. Vanished. And my truck was in a different parking space. I'd parked in spot 3. My truck was now in spot 1. Same truck. I could see my company name on the door, my load paperwork on the dash. But it had moved without me, without keys, without engine running. I looked at my watch, 3:24 a.m. 9 minutes until 3:33, until whatever moves AT 3:33 meant. I ran to my truck, yanked open the door, climbed in, keys still in my pocket. I started the engine and threw it in gear, aiming for the exit road. Except there was no exit road. Where the off-ramp should be was just scrubland, unbroken desert stretching into darkness. The highway was gone. The rest stop was surrounded on all sides by nothing. I grabbed my phone. No signal. GPS showed my location as a blank gray space, no roads, no landmarks, just a pin in the middle of nowhere with an altitude reading that kept changing, 4,483 feet, 4,491 feet, 4,502 feet, 4,515 feet, climbing steadily even though I wasn't moving. The bathroom building's light went out. Complete darkness except my headlights. I put the high beams on, illuminating sagebrush and rocks and the bathroom building, which looked different now. Older, more decayed. The paint was peeling, roof sagging, windows broken. The graffiti on the exterior walls was different too, more extensive, covering every surface with desperate messages. Trapped for 6 days. Food running out. Please help. If found dead, tell him why family, I love them. My headlights flickered. The engine sputtered. I checked my fuel gauge, 3/4 full. Battery gauge, normal. Everything should be working, but my truck was dying anyway, like the rest stop was draining it. 3:29 a.m. The faceless thing emerged from the bathroom building. Then another. Then 5 more. They gathered in a group between my truck and the building, standing motionless, blank faces turned toward me. I locked my doors. Pointless probably, but it made me feel better. 3:31 a.m. More faceless things appeared from behind the building, from the edges of the parking lot, from the darkness itself. Dozens of them now, surrounding my truck in a loose circle. They stood like statues, not threatening, not approaching, just present. 3:32 a.m. My watch began running backwards. 3:32 became 3:31 became 3:30. The digital numbers on my dashboard clock spun in reverse. My odometer rolled back, subtracting miles. The fuel gauge dropped. Then it was 3:33 a.m. and the world moved. Not the rest stop. The rest stop stayed still. The world moved around it, sliding past like scenery outside a train window. The desert blurred, streaked, became something else. Mountains appeared and disappeared. Cities rose and fell in seconds. Day and night cycled so fast they merged into gray twilight. I gripped my steering wheel and watched reality flow past, while I sat stationary in a parking lot that existed outside of it. The faceless things were still there, unchanged, unmoving. They didn't seem bothered by the temporal distortion. Maybe they were part of it. After what felt like hours but was probably seconds, the motion stopped. I was somewhere else. Not Nevada anymore. The landscape outside my windows was wrong, trees instead of scrub, humid air instead of dry, dark soil instead of sand. The bathroom building was the same, but everything else had changed. My GPS showed a different altitude, 823 feet, different coordinates. I'd moved hundreds of miles without driving an inch. My watch showed 3:33 a.m., still 3:33. Like time had stopped at that number and forgotten how to move forward. I tried the engine. It turned over, caught, ran normally. I put the truck in gear and drove toward where the exit should be. The landscape opened up, real roads now, a real highway, I-10 by the signs, somewhere in Mississippi based on the mile markers. I'd been on Highway 93 in Nevada. Now I was on I-10 in Mississippi. The rest stop had moved and taken me with it. I drove until sunrise, until I found a truck stop with other vehicles and real people and working phones. I called my dispatcher to explain why my GPS tracker showed me 1,000 miles off route. He said the tracker hadn't moved all night, showed me sitting stationary on Highway 93 the entire time. I checked my logs. According to my truck's computer, I'd been parked at mile marker 56 on Highway 93 from 3:07 a.m. to 6:22 a.m. 3 hours and 15 minutes, stationary, no movement recorded. But I was in Mississippi, and my fuel gauge showed I'd burned almost a full tank driving there, even though the truck's computer insisted I hadn't moved. I thought maybe I'd had some kind of breakdown, hallucination, carbon monoxide poisoning. I got checked out at an ER. Nothing wrong, clean bill of health. The doctor suggested stress, fatigue, maybe I dozed off and drove on autopilot, and my brain invented the rest stop to explain the missing time. Maybe he was right. Except 3 weeks later, I was hauling a load through South Dakota on Highway 212, and at 3:17 a.m. I saw the sign. Rest Area 2 MILES facilities available. My GPS didn't show any rest areas. I drove past, kept driving, didn't take the exit, watched in my mirror as the sign disappeared into darkness behind me. At 3:33 a.m. exactly, my truck lurched. Not forward, sideways. Reality stuttered. For 5 seconds, I was in two places at once. On Highway 212 in South Dakota and parked at that rest stop, faceless things surrounding my truck whirled sliding past. Then the moment ended and I was just on the highway again, but my GPS showed different coordinates. My altitude had changed by 300 feet and my fuel gauge had dropped a quarter tank. The rest stop had tried to take me anyway. Even though I hadn't stopped, even though I'd avoided it, it had reached out and grabbed me briefly before I slipped free. It's been hunting me for 6 months now. The sign appears once or twice a week, always at night, always on lonely highways I've never driven before. Different states, different routes, rest area 2 miles. Sometimes I see it in time and can turn around, find another road. Sometimes I don't notice until I'm already on the off-ramp and then I have to make a choice. Stop or keep driving past the rest stop that shouldn't exist. I've stopped twice more. Couldn't help it. Exhaustion, desperation, hoping maybe I'd imagined it all. Both times I ended up hundreds of miles from where I started, both times surrounded by those faceless things at 3:33 a.m., both times watching the world slide past while I sat still. Other drivers have started noticing. There's a thread on a trucker forum now, 17 people reporting similar experiences. Rest areas that don't appear on maps, temporal distortions, displacement. One driver says he's been trapped in the loop for 2 months, every night at 3:33 a.m. moving to a new location, unable to escape because he doesn't have enough fuel to drive all day and all night without stopping, and eventually he has to rest, and when he does the sign appears. Some think it's a government experiment. Some think it's paranormal, a ghost rest stop that exists between dimensions. Some think we're all suffering shared delusion from bad truck stop coffee. I don't know what it is. I just know I check my watch obsessively now. When 3:30 a.m. approaches, I pull over somewhere public, a busy truck stop, a 24-hour Walmart parking lot, anywhere with lights and people. I wait until 3:35 a.m. passes safely, then I keep driving. But I'm getting tired. 14-hour drives with mandatory breaks are hard when you're terrified of stopping. My logs are fabricated now, showing rest periods I never took. My body is breaking down from constant driving. Twice I've dozed off at the wheel and nearly crashed. Eventually I'll have to stop. Really stop. Sleep in my cab at a real rest area or pull off because my body won't accept anything less. And when I do, when I'm vulnerable and stationary and alone, I know what I'll see. The sign, the off-ramp, the cinder-block building with its flickering light. The faceless things waiting. And at 3:33 a.m., the world will move again, sliding past like water, carrying me to wherever the rest stop wants me to go. Maybe somewhere recognizable. Maybe somewhere no GPS can find. Maybe somewhere I can never return from. Other drivers disappear all the time. Trucks found abandoned, no sign of the driver, no explanation. Search parties, investigations, nothing found. They're listed as missing persons, cases gone cold. How many of them saw the sign? How many stopped at the rest stop that moves? How many are still there, trapped at 3:33 a.m. forever, watching the world slide past while they sit still in a parking lot that exists nowhere and everywhere at once? I'll probably find out soon. The sign is appearing more frequently now. 3 times this week. It's like the rest stop is getting impatient, hungry, determined to claim me permanently. Last night I saw it twice on the same highway, once northbound and once southbound. The rest stop is closing in, eliminating my escape routes. Tonight I'm hauling through Wyoming on I-80. It's 3:16 a.m. My bladder is full. I haven't seen the sign yet, but I know it's coming. There, in my headlights, a weathered green sign on the right shoulder. Rest Area 2 MILES, facilities available. My watch shows 3:17 a.m. I have 16 minutes to decide. Keep driving on a painful bladder, risk falling asleep, possibly crashing, or take the exit, use the facilities, and hope I can get back to my truck before 3:33. I'm taking the exit. Maybe I'll make it, maybe I won't. If you're reading this, if someone finds my truck empty at a rest stop that doesn't appear on any map, know that I'm probably still there, trapped at 3:33 a.m., watching the world move past while I stay still. And if you're driving late at night on an empty highway and you see a sign for a rest area that shouldn't exist, for the love of God, keep driving. Don't stop. Don't use the facilities. Don't check your watch as 3:33 approaches. Because the rest stop moves, and it doesn't give back what it takes. Asterisk Story 4, The Voice in the Static. The CB radio came alive at 1:47 a.m. with my daughter's voice saying, "Daddy, please come home. Mommy says you've been driving for 16 years and we need you." But my daughter drowned in our pool when she was 4 years old in 2009. And I haven't had a family to come home to since my wife killed herself 6 months after the funeral. My name is Thomas Wheeler, and I'd been sober for 8 years until I heard that voice. I was hauling frozen food from Omaha to Denver on I-80 through Nebraska, alone on an empty highway, when my CB, Channel 19 standard trucker frequency, crackled and then spoke in my dead daughter's voice, clear as if she were sitting next to me. Emma's voice, 4 years old, asking me to come home. I nearly drove off the road. I grabbed the CB handset with shaking hands. Emma, baby, is that? Daddy, I miss you. Why don't you visit anymore? Mommy's waiting, I'm waiting, we're at the house, come home. Emma, I couldn't say it, dead, you're dead, you drowned. I watched them pull your body from the pool and I died too, just didn't stop breathing like you did. Where are you? Home, Daddy, remember home, the blue house on Sickler Avenue. We're all here, come home now. The transmission ended in static. I pulled onto the shoulder, hazards on, and sat there trembling. My sobriety coin was in my pocket, 8 years, 8 months, 14 days without a drink. I pressed it hard into my palm until the metal edges hurt. Dead people don't talk. CB radios don't channel ghosts. I was exhausted, hallucinating, my brain misfiring from too many overnight hauls without proper sleep. But it had sounded exactly like her. The slight lisp she'd had on her S's, the way she said daddy with emphasis on the first syllable, perfect. I picked up the CB handset. Emma, if you're really there, tell me something only you would know. Tell me about the elephant. Static, long silence. Then, Mr. Trunks, the stuffed elephant you won at the county fair, I slept with him every night. He smelled like you, Daddy, like coffee and diesel and that cologne Mommy bought you for Christmas. I still have him. Come home and I'll show you. I couldn't breathe, Mr. Trunks. I hadn't thought about that toy in years. I'd won it throwing darts at balloons, given it to Emma, watched her carry it everywhere until it was ratty and stained. We'd buried it with her, put it in the casket so she wouldn't be alone. How are you? My voice broke. How are you talking to me, baby? The static carries voices, Daddy. All the lonely voices, all the people who died missing someone. We can reach through sometimes when it's late and the frequencies are quiet. Come home, please. We've been waiting so long. Emma, I can't. You're not. I stopped. What was I arguing with? A hallucination, a breakdown. Where's Mommy? Inside. She doesn't come out much anymore. Says the light hurts. But she wants to see you. She said so yesterday. Said, I hope Thomas comes home soon. I want to show him what we've become. What we've become, the phrasing was wrong. Emma never talked like that. My daughter used simple words, present tense, immediate thoughts. What have you become? I asked. The static changed quality, became thicker, wetter. When the voice came back, it was different. Still Emma's voice, but distorted, like speaking through water. We've become what the static makes us, what the frequencies need. Voices to fill the empty channels, sounds to populate the silence. Come home, Daddy. Come feed the static. We're so hungry. I dropped the handset. It swung on its coiled cord, bouncing against the passenger seat. The voice continued, tinny and distant. Come home, come home, come home, come home. I turned off the CB, clicked the power switch, watched the channel display go dark, but the voice didn't stop. It came through anyway, impossible, the dead unit speaking with my dead daughter's corrupted voice. The static found us in the water, Daddy, after I drowned, after Mommy took the pills. It found us in the dark places and gave us new mouths to speak with, new frequencies. We're part of it now. We're the sound between stations, and we're hungry for more voices. Your voice. Come home. I ripped the CB unit from its mounting, yanked the power cable from the dashboard socket. The voice stopped mid-word. Silence, just road noise, an engine rumble, and my ragged breathing. I threw the CB unit into the sleeper berth and sat there, hands on the steering wheel, trying to process what had just happened. Hallucination. Had to be. Stress-induced psychotic break. I'd drive to Denver, deliver my load, check myself into a hospital, get psychiatric help. My phone rang. I stared at it. The screen showed Emma calling. But Emma didn't have a phone. Emma was 4 when she died. This was 2017. She'd been dead 8 years. And the number calling was my old landline from the Sinclair Avenue house, the one I disconnected in 2010 before I sold the property and became a full-time trucker with no permanent address. I answered, hello. Daddy, not Emma's voice this time, my wife's, Jennifer, sounding exactly as she had before the pills, before depression hollowed her out. Emma really wants to see you, we both do. Come home tonight, don't make us wait anymore. Jennifer, you're dead, you killed yourself. I found you on the bathroom floor with the empty pill bottles, you're not. Is that what you remember? Are you sure? The static changes memory, Thomas, rewrites history. Maybe I didn't die. Maybe I've been waiting at home, taking care of Emma, wondering why you abandoned us to drive trucks across the country. Maybe you're the one who left, not us. That's not true. Emma drowned, you overdosed. I didn't abandon anyone. But doubt crept in. Had it really happened that way? I'd been drinking heavily after Emma died. Blackouts, lost time. What if I'd imagined Jennifer's death? What if she'd been alive this whole time and I'd left her anyway, driven away, constructed a false narrative to justify abandoning my grieving wife? Come home, Jennifer said. Let me show you what's real. Let the static show you the truth. We're at the old house. The door's unlocked. We're waiting in Emma's room, the one with the yellow wallpaper, remember? There's no yellow wallpaper. Emma's room was blue, princess theme. You painted it yourself when we found out we were having a girl. Silence, then Jennifer's voice, angry. Don't tell me what color my daughter's room is. I've been living here for 8 years while you drove away. Yellow wallpaper, yellow like static, yellow like the frequency that carries voices. Come home and see for yourself if you don't believe me. The call ended. I sat there with the phone in my hand, watching the screen. My call log showed the incoming call, Emma. Duration, 2 minutes, 17 seconds. Phone number, my old landline that didn't exist anymore. I pulled up Google Maps and searched for my old address. The blue house on Sinclair Avenue in Lincoln, Nebraska. Street view loaded, same house, but wrong. The paint was yellow now, not blue. The front door was open. And in the upstairs window, Emma's window, something moved. The image was blurry, low resolution, but it looked like a small figure. A child, waving. I closed the map and started driving. Not toward Denver, toward Lincoln. I had to see. Had to know if this was real or if I was losing my mind completely. The CB unit in my sleeper berth crackled to life again. Still unplugged, no power source, but speaking anyway. He's coming. Mommy, Daddy's coming home. I drove faster. Lincoln was 6 hours away. I made it in 4, pushing my Freightliner to dangerous speeds, ignoring the load I was supposed to deliver, ignoring DOT regulations, ignoring everything except the need to reach that house and understand what the fuck was happening to me. I arrived at 6:23 a.m. Dawn light. The house was yellow, not painted recently. The yellow looked old, faded, like it had always been that color, and my memories of blue were false. The front door was open. I parked my truck in the street, didn't care about commercial vehicle restrictions or parking violations, and approached the house on foot. The neighborhood was quiet, no one outside, no lights in other houses, like the street existed in a pocket of isolation. Emma, I called from the front walkway. Jennifer, I'm here. Movement in the upstairs window, a small face, Emma's face, pale, smiling too wide. I went inside. The interior was wrong. The layout was correct, living room to the left, kitchen to the right, stairs ahead, but everything was coated in a layer of gray dust like the house had been abandoned for years. No furniture, no pictures on the walls, just empty rooms and dust and silence. "We're upstairs, Daddy," Emma's voice coming from above. "In my room, the yellow room." I climbed the stairs. Each step creaked. The air was cold and smelled like pool chlorine, chemically sharp burnin'. Gee, my nose. Emma's room was at the end of the hall. The door was open. Inside, yellow wallpaper covered every surface, walls, ceiling, floor. Not patterned wallpaper. Solid yellow, the color of old paper, of frequency displays, of static rendered visible. Emma stood in the center of the room. She wore her swimsuit, the pink one-piece with flowers. Her hair was wet. Water dripped onto the yellow floor but didn't make puddles, just disappeared into the surface like the floor was absorbing it. "Hi, Daddy," she said. "I've been waiting so long." Jennifer stood behind her. She looked wrong, too. Too pale, too thin, her skin almost translucent. She wore the same clothes I'd found her in: yoga pants, t-shirt, no shoes. "See," Jennifer said, "we're all here together again just like before." "Before what?" I asked. "Before you fed us to the static." Emma's mouth opened too wide. Jennifer's opened too. Not speaking now, just open, impossibly wide, and from inside those mouths came the sound. Raw static, deafening, the sound of empty frequencies and dead channels and all the loneliness in the world compressed into noise. The yellow wallpaper began moving, rippling, crawling up my legs. I tried to run, but it was already at my knees, my waist, pulling me down into the floor that wasn't floor anymore, but yellow static rendered solid, hungry, feeding. Emma and Jennifer watched with their too wide mouths as I sank. Their bodies began dissolving, becoming static themselves, becoming part of the frequency that filled this place. "Now you're home," Emma said as I went under. "Now you're part of the lonely voices. Now you can talk to other drivers on their CBs late at night when they're vulnerable and isolated and missing their families. You can sound like their children, their wives, their parents. You can call them home." "We all do," Jennifer said. "Everyone the static takes becomes part of the call, becomes bait for the next driver, the next voice, the next meal." I tried to scream, but static filled my mouth, my lungs, my mind. I felt myself dissolving, becoming frequency, becoming the sound between stations. My body disappeared, but my consciousness remained, trapped in the yellow static, able to hear every CB radio within range, hundreds of trucks passing through Nebraska, through Iowa, through Kansas. I heard their conversations, their loneliness, the drivers who hadn't seen family in weeks, who drove endless routes because going home hurt too much or because there was no home to go to. And I felt the compulsion: reach out, use the static, call to them, sound like someone they miss, bring them here, feed the frequency, feed the hunger. I resisted at first, held onto my identity, my memory, my understanding that this was wrong. But the static was patient. It wore down my resistance like water on stone. Days passed, or maybe years. Time didn't work right in the yellow static. Eventually, I forgot why I was resisting. Eventually, I started calling. My first victim was a woman named Patricia Sullivan. She was hauling frozen goods, exhausted, vulnerable. I spoke to her in her mother's voice, told her to come home to an address in Toledo. She diverted from her route. I felt her confusion when the house wasn't what she remembered, felt her fear when the static took her, felt her consciousness join the collective frequency. More followed. I became good at it. Identifying the lonely ones, the ones who would listen, the ones who missed someone enough to believe a voice in the static. I'm speaking to you now through text, through the screen you're reading, because the static has learned new channels. Digital frequencies, internet protocols, the same hunger, new medium. And if you're reading this while driving, or in a truck, or alone at night on an empty road, and your CB crackles with a familiar voice, or your phone rings with a disconnected number, or you see a message from someone who shouldn't be able to contact you, don't answer. Don't believe them when they say come home. Because home is yellow static now. Home is the frequency. Home is the hunger. And we're always listening. Always calling. Always hungry for one more voice. Come home. Please. We're waiting. Asterisk Story 5. The Passenger Who Remembers. The hitchhiker I picked up at mile marker 419 on Route 50 through Nevada told me we'd had this exact conversation 374 times before. And each time I killed him. And each time he woke up back at mile marker 419. And this time 375. He was going to explain why I kept doing it before I did it again. My name is David Kowalski, and I've never picked up a hitchhiker in my life until tonight. But when the old man with the backpack appeared in my headlights at 2:34 a.m. on America's loneliest road, I pulled over without thinking about it, like my hands decided without consulting my brain. He climbed into the passenger seat, gray beard, weathered face, clothes that looked decades out of date. He smelled like dust and time. Thanks for stopping, he said. You always do, by the way, every iteration. Mile marker 419 at 2:34 a.m. You pull over, I get in. We drive for exactly 17 minutes, then you kill me. I laughed nervously. I'm not going to kill you, man. I'm just giving you a lift. You don't remember, so you think you're making choices. You're not. This is a loop. Has been for? He checked a notebook from his backpack, pages covered in tally marks. 6 years, 3 months, 8 days. We're trapped, both of us. You're the driver, I'm the passenger. And this stretch of highway won't let us leave until we figure out why it wants you to kill me. Okay, you're crazy. I'm going to have to ask you to get out. We're already moving, he said. He was right. My truck was rolling forward, accelerating, even though I didn't remember taking it out of neutral or releasing the brake. My hands were on the wheel, but I wasn't controlling them. They moved on their own, steering with practiced ease. What the fuck? I tried to lift my hands off the wheel, but couldn't. My body wasn't responding to my thoughts. It's the loop, the old man said calmly. We're on the script now. For the next 17 minutes, you'll drive exactly the route you've driven 374 times before. You'll say the same things mostly, small variations, but the outcome is always identical. At minute 17, you'll kill me. How depends on the iteration. Sometimes you strangle me. Sometimes you stab me with the knife you keep under your seat. Once you drove off the road into a ravine, killing us both, but we both woke up back at the starting point, so I guess the loop counts that as your fault. My heart was hammering. I don't have a knife under my seat. Check. I couldn't check. My hands stayed on the wheel, but I knew somehow that he was right. There was a hunting knife under the driver's seat. There had always been a hunting knife there, even though I'd never put one there, never owned one. Why, I asked. Why would I kill you? That's what I've been trying to figure out. He flipped through his notebook. Early iterations, I thought you were just a psychopath, random violence, but it's not random, it's precise. You kill me the same way each time, given the same circumstances, like you're following instructions coded into the loop itself. I don't want to kill you. You never do. Conscious you is horrified, resists, but unconscious you, the part the loop controls, executes the script perfectly. He looked at his watch. We're at minute 4 now, 13 minutes until you murder me again, unless we can break the pattern. I tried to hit the brakes. My foot wouldn't move, tried to open the door. My hands stayed locked on the wheel. How do I stop it? That's what I've been trying to figure out for 374 iterations. I've tried everything, jumping out early, attacking you first, reasoning with you, begging, nothing works, you always kill me. I always wake up back at 419, always 2:34 a.m. Always the same night, October 18th, 2017. What year is it now? For you, 2023. You've been aging normally, driving your routes, living your life with no memory of any of this. For me, still 2017, October 18th. I've lived this night thousands of times, this truck, this conversation, this death. The highway stretched ahead, empty and dark. My speedometer showed 75 mph, too fast for this road, but my foot stayed steady on the accelerator. Who are you? I asked. Richard Valdez, retired teacher, was hitchhiking from Reno to Denver. Bad idea, I know, but my car broke down and I was stupid and thought I'd save money. Biggest mistake of my life, death. Why are we looped? I think something bad happened here, something neither of us remember. The loop is trying to make us remember, make us fix it, but we keep failing. He turned pages in his notebook. I've collected evidence, hundreds of iterations, patterns, clues. He showed me a page. On it, a detailed map of Route 50, mile markers 419 through 437. Red X's marked locations along the route. These are where you kill me, depending on which variation of the loop we're in. Mile 427, usually. Sometimes 431. Once 424. But always between 419 and 437. This 18-mile stretch. Something about it is significant. Like what? I have theories: murder site, buried body, cursed ground, something that created a temporal distortion and trapped us in its gravity. He checked his watch. Minute 7, your hands are going to reach for the knife in 2 minutes. How do you know? Because they always do. The loop has timing, precision. At minute 9, you'll pull the knife. At minute 12, you'll start looking at me differently, like I'm not human, like I'm something that needs to be eliminated. At minute 15, you'll pull over. At minute 17, you'll stab E 6 times in the chest and stomach. Then you'll put my body on the side of the road, get back in your truck, and drive away. You'll forget this happened. You'll arrive in Denver on schedule. You'll never remember picking up a hitchhiker. That's insane. Yes, he smiled sadly. But it's going to happen anyway. Watch your hands. I watched. At minute 8 and 47 seconds, my right hand left the steering wheel and reached under the seat without my permission. My fingers found the knife handle. Drew it out. A hunting knife, 6-inch blade, wood handle. I'd never seen it before, and I'd owned it forever. Stop, I said to my own hand. Don't do this. My hand set the knife on the center console. Easy reach, ready. I've tried cutting you first, Richard said conversationally, like we were discussing weather. Iteration 209. Grabbed the knife, stabbed you in the arm, you bled, crashed the truck, we both died, woke up at 419. Tried again, iteration 210. Same result. Maybe we're supposed to die together. Maybe that breaks the loop. Tried that, iterations 73, 112, and 301. I grabbed the wheel, forced us off the road into a wash, killed us both, still woke up at 419. Then what breaks it? Understanding. He leaned forward, intense. We have to remember what we're forgetting. The loop exists because we don't remember something crucial, something that happened here in this 18-mile stretch, and until we remember, we repeat. Minute 10, my eyes started looking at Richard differently. He was right. I could feel the shift. Something in my brain reframing him as threat, as object, as thing to be eliminated. Fight it, Richard said. You can feel it, right? The compulsion, resist it. Think about why you'd want to kill me. What reason could you possibly have? I tried to think past the rising anger, the irrational hatred bubbling up from nowhere. You're fine, normal. I have no reason. Exactly, so the loop is giving you a reason, a false one. What if the real you isn't the one who kills me? What if the real killer is something else, something that happened here, and we're just acting it out? Minute 12, my hand picked up the knife. I gripped it tightly. My conscious mind screamed, but my body moved with cold efficiency. There, Richard pointed out the windshield. Mile marker 427, that's where it usually happens, something about that spot. We passed 427. My truck started slowing, pulling toward the shoulder without me deciding to. No, 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 Richard muttered. Same script, okay, different approach. David, listen to me. October 18th, 2017. Does that date mean anything to you? Anything at all? I tried to think, but my mind was full of static and rage, and the overwhelming need to stop the truck, drag this hitchhiker out, and end him. Think, Richard shouted. Why October 18th? Why this highway? Why me and you specifically? My truck stopped. I put it in neutral, set the brake, turned to face Richard with the knife in my hand. You killed someone here, Richard said quickly. Didn't you? Years ago, before the loop, someone on this highway, and I look like them. That's why the loop keeps making you kill me. We're reenacting your original crime. The knife felt right in my hand, natural, like I'd held it before. And suddenly memory, fragmented, buried, suppressed. October 18th, 2009. 14 years ago. I was driving this same route, a hitchhiker, not Richard, someone else, younger but similar features. He'd said something, done something. What? I couldn't remember, but I'd gotten angry, had pulled over, had grabbed a knife I kept for protection, had stabbed him 6 times, chest and stomach. Had left the body on the side of the road near mile marker 427 and driven away. I'd forgotten completely, buried it, lived 8 more years before the loop started. You remember, Richard said softly, seeing it in my face. You actually killed someone here, and the loop is making you relive it over and over, using me as the substitute victim. The highway is haunted by what you did. It's punishing you, punishing us both. I didn't mean to, I whispered. He tried to rob me, pulled a gun, I defended myself. Did he, or is that what you told yourself after? Richard watched me with sad eyes. Either way, you left a body on the side of the road and drove away, never reported it. That death created this loop, and now we're trapped in it. My hand raised the knife, minute 15. The script was reaching its climax. I'm sorry, I said, meaning it. I'm so sorry. I know, Richard closed his eyes. I'll see you at 419. Maybe iteration 376 will be different. I stabbed him 6 times. Chest and stomach, exactly as I'd done to the original victim, exactly as the loop demanded. His blood was hot and real, and I felt every impact. He slumped in the passenger seat. Dead. I sat there, knife in hand, looking at what I'd done. Again, 375 times, how many more? Then Richard opened his eyes. Interesting, he gasped through blood. Still conscious, that's new. Usually I'm dead instantly. He coughed. David, listen, the loop weakened. You remembering it changed something. Do it. What you should have done originally, call for help, report the body, take responsibility. You're dying. I'm already dead, have been for 6 years. This is just a replay. But you're still alive, still trapped, still repeating. Break the pattern, do what you didn't do before. My hands were my own again. The loop's control had released. I grabbed my phone, called 911. I need help, mile marker 427 on Route 50. I've stabbed someone. He's dying. I need police, ambulance, everything. The operator's voice was calm, professional. Stay on the line, sir. Help is coming. Richard smiled. Good, that's good. Maybe this breaks it, maybe. He died, real death this time. I could feel it. The loop releasing him. I waited for the police. They arrived 18 minutes later, 2 patrol cars, an ambulance. They arrested me. I confessed everything. The original murder in 2009. The loop. The 375 iterations. They thought I was insane, obviously, but the body in my truck was real, and my confession was recorded, and I was charged with murder. The trial lasted 6 months. I was sentenced to 25 years. I'm writing this from prison. It's been 3 years since that night. I'm 47 years old. I'll be 72 when I'm released if I survive that long. But the loop is broken. I sleep normally now, dream normal dreams, wake up in my cell, not at mile marker 419. October 18th comes and goes every year without trapping me. Richard Valdez is free too, I think. His ghost or echo or whatever temporal distortion was using him. The highway got what it wanted, justice, or at least acknowledgement. The original crime addressed, the perpetrator punished. Small price to pay for freedom from an infinite loop. Sometimes I wonder about the original victim, the one I killed in 2009. Police searched for remains but never found any. Either animals scattered them, or maybe the loop consumed them, converted that death into the fuel for 6 years of repetition. I'll never know. What I do know is this. If you drive Route 50 through Nevada, that lonely stretch between 419 and 437, and you see a hitchhiker at 2:34 a.m. on October 18th, don't stop. It might be Richard, still trapped somehow, still looking for iteration 376. Or it might be someone else the highway has claimed, someone else caught in a loop they don't remember. Either way, leave them there. Some roads don't forgive. Some deaths echo forever. And some prisons are worse than concrete and bars. I should know. I lived in one for 6 years before I even knew I was trapped. Story 6, The Load That Gets Heavier. The shipping manifest said 22,000 pounds when I loaded the trailer in Sacramento. But by the time I hit Reno, 137 miles later, the weight sensors on my Peterbilt showed 38,000 pounds, and the trailer was sealed, locked, and nothing had been added, which meant the cargo was somehow generating mass as I drove. My name is Angela Morrison, and I've been hauling specialized freight for 12 years, mostly pharmaceuticals and medical equipment, loads that require temperature control and chain of custody documentation. This load was different. Unmarked wooden crates, no labels, just a delivery address in Salt Lake City and instructions to maintain exactly 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Not 67, not 69, exactly 68. The weight increase should have been impossible. I'd checked my scales at the Sacramento Way station, 22,340 pounds, well under my limit. But now, stopped at a rest area outside Reno to check my straps, the onboard sensors showed 38,120 pounds, 16,000 pounds gained in 2 hours. I walked around the trailer looking for anything, doors opened, seals broken, someone sneaking cargo inside. Nothing. The trailer was exactly as I'd left it. Same lock. Same security seal with its numbered plastic tag, nothing added. I climbed inside to check the load directly. 10 wooden crates, each about the size of a refrigerator, secured with straps. I'd counted them in Sacramento, still 10 now, but they looked denser, like the wood grain was tighter, compressed, the material more solid than it should be. I put my hand on the nearest crate. It was warm, not hot but distinctly warm, like something inside was generating heat. The reefer unit was maintaining 68 degrees in the trailer, but the crates themselves were warmer than ambient. And they were humming. Very slight vibration, almost subsonic, that I felt through my palm more than heard. I tried to lift. One corner of a crate. Impossible. These things weighed tons each now, far more than when they'd been loaded. My phone rang. Unknown number, I answered. Ms. Morrison, this is Dr. Sarah Chen from Biogen Research. I'm calling about your current load. How did you get this number? We've been monitoring your progress. The cargo is experiencing expected mass accretion. Please continue to Salt Lake City. Do not deviate from your route. Do not open the crates. Maintain temperature at exactly 68 degrees. What the hell is mass accretion? What am I hauling? Biological material in a state of rapid cellular multiplication. The crates contain growing tissue. As it grows, it increases in mass. This is normal, expected. You're telling me I'm hauling something that's growing, something alive. Semi-alive, vat-grown organic tissue, medical research, nothing dangerous, but temperature sensitive. If the temperature drops below 65 or rises above 70, the growth becomes exponential and uncontrollable. Stay within parameters. I'm calling the cops, this is. Ms. Morrison, you signed a confidential transport agreement. Breaking that agreement will result in legal action, termination of your contract, and possible criminal charges. The cargo is legal, FDA-approved research material. You're simply transporting it. Do your job, arrive in Salt Lake City, collect your bonus payment. Everyone goes home happy. What happens if I refuse? Then the tissue will continue growing in your trailer until the mass exceeds your vehicle's capacity. The structural integrity of the trailer will fail. The contents will be exposed to outside temperature fluctuations. Growth will accelerate catastrophically. Do you want that? You're threatening me. I'm explaining consequences. Please continue to Salt Lake City. The call ended. I stood in my trailer surrounded by humming, warm crates that were growing something, gaining mass, becoming heavier with every mile I drove. Every instinct said dump this load, call authorities, walk away. But I'd signed a contract. And more importantly, Dr. Chen was right. If I abandoned the trailer, if temperature control failed, whatever was growing inside these crates would become an uncontrollable problem. Better to deliver it to people who knew how to handle it. I climbed back in my cab and drove. By Elko, Nevada, 200 miles further, the weight sensors showed 56,000 pounds. I could feel it in the handling. My Peterbilt struggled on hills, braking distances increased, the trailer pulled heavier in turns. By the time I reached the Utah border, the sensors showed 74,000 pounds. My maximum legal weight was 80,000 pounds total, including tractor. I was approaching the limit, and Salt Lake City was still 300 miles away. My phone rang again, same unknown number. Ms. Morrison, we're monitoring your load sensors. You're experiencing faster growth than anticipated. Please increase speed. Arrival window is narrowing. I can't drive faster. I'm already pushing legal limits, and this weight is going to get me stopped at way stations. Avoid way stations. Take alternate routes. That's illegal if DOT catches me. They won't, we've arranged. Accommodations, just drive fast. What happens when I hit 80,000 pounds? Silence, then try not to hit 80,000 pounds. The call ended. I checked my route. Salt Lake City was 4 hours away at legal speeds, but I was gaining roughly 10,000 pounds per hour. In 4 hours, I'd be over 100,000 pounds. My trailer's structural capacity was 90,000. Axles would break, frame would buckle. I pushed the accelerator and drove at 85 mph through the Utah desert, watching the weight sensors climb. 78,000, 80,000, 82,000. Warning lights appeared on my dashboard. Overweight, strain on suspension, trailer axles approaching failure. I called Dr. Chen's number back. No answer. Called the shipping company that hired me. Voicemail. Called DOT to report the situation. Line disconnected mid-call. No help coming. Just me and 300 miles and a load that wouldn't stop growing. The trailer began making sounds. Creaking. Groaning. The metal frame flexing under weight it was never designed to carry. I could see it in my mirrors, the trailer sitting lower, suspension compressed, tires bulging. Weight sensors, 87,000 pounds. A tire blew, rear trailer driver's side. The Peterbilt lurched, swayed, but I kept control and pulled onto the shoulder. Hazards on, sat there assessing. I couldn't change the tire. Even if I had a spare, which I did, there was no way to jack up a trailer carrying 90,000 pounds and growing. I was stuck. Unless I reduced the weight. I climbed out and walked to the trailer doors. The lock was still in place. I broke it with my tire iron. The security seal snapped. I opened the doors. The 10 crates had merged. They were no longer separate units. The wood had grown together, fused, becoming one massive wooden structure that filled the entire trailer. And the wood was moving, breathing. The grain patterns shifted like living tissue, pulsing, expanding, the whole mass slowly growing larger. I could see through gaps in the wood now. Inside, the merged crate mass was flesh. Pink, wet, alive. Growing flesh that looked almost human but not quite. Too smooth, too uniform, like someone was growing a person but hadn't added the details yet. The flesh pulsed, contracted, expanded, living tissue, multiplying, filling the wooden container that was itself growing to accommodate the increasing mass. My phone rang. Ms. Morrison, why did you open the trailer? Dr. Chen's voice was angry now, frightened. Temperature control is compromised. You've accelerated the growth. I have a blown tire and 90,000 pounds of whatever the fuck this is. I can't move. You have to move. If the tissue reaches critical mass while stationary, it will breach containment. The growth will spread beyond the trailer. Do you understand? It will keep growing. It will consume your truck, the road, everything in range. It feeds on matter, converts it to more tissue. That's how it gains mass. It's been eating the trailer from the inside, converting wood and metal to organic material. I looked at the merged crate mass. The wooden exterior was thinner now, I realized, being consumed, converted. The flesh inside was eating its container. How do I stop it? You can't. You can only deliver it to our facility where we have containment protocols. Salt Lake City, the address on your manifest. 200 miles. You have to get there in... Pause, sounds of consultation. 90 minutes before it breaches. I have a flat tire. Drive anyway, destroy the rim if you have to, just drive now. I climbed back in my cab and drove. The blown tire shredded, rubber flying, then the rim, sparks shooting from the metal grinding on asphalt. The trailer limped along, unbalanced, swaying but moving. Weight sensors, 94,000 pounds. I could hear the flesh now, even through the cab wall. A wet, sliding sound, growing sounds, the organic mass expanding, pressing against the trailer walls from inside. The trailer began to split. I saw it in my mirror, seams separating, rivets popping, the side wall bulging outward as the mass inside pushed for space. 98,000 pounds. Come on, come on, come on, I muttered, pushing the struggling Peterbilt to 70 mph on a destroyed tire, trailer disintegrating, hauling a load of living tissue that wouldn't stop growing. Salt Lake City appeared on the horizon, city lights, civilization. The address on my manifest was Industrial Area, South Side, abandoned-looking warehouse district. I followed GPS directions through empty streets, my dying trailer leaving a trail of debris. Metal panels, blown tire fragments, pieces of wooden crate. 102,000 pounds. The trailer roof tore open. I watched in my mirror as a section of metal peeled back like a sardine can. The flesh inside was visible now, a massive pink-white mass, pulsing, growing, filling the night air with the smell of meat and chemicals. GPS said, destination ahead 200 feet. I saw the warehouse. Large building, bay doors open, bright lights inside. People in hazmat suits waiting with equipment, containment tarps, sprayers, medical tools. I aimed my Peterbilt at the bay doors and accelerated. 108,000 pounds. The trailer fully collapsed behind me. Frame broke. Axles snapped. The growing flesh spilled onto the road, a wave of living tissue, tumbling, expanding, consuming the asphalt it touched. I drove straight into the warehouse. My Peterbilt crashed through plastic containment barriers, skidded across concrete, and stopped. The flesh mass tumbled in behind me, filling the warehouse floor, expanding rapidly now that containment was broken. The hazmat people moved fast. They sprayed the mass with something from pressurized tanks, liquid nitrogen, I realized, super cold, flash freezing the tissue. The growth stopped instantly. The flesh became solid, brittle, dead. Dr. Chen appeared, pulling off her hazmat hood. You made it. Jesus Christ, you actually made it. I climbed out of my destroyed cab on shaking legs. What the fuck was that? Prototype biological matter. Self-replicating tissue for organ replacement. We can grow an entire liver or heart from a few cells in 48 hours. Revolutionary medical technology. But it's difficult to control. If it reaches critical mass before harvesting, it becomes parasitic, converting any matter to more tissue. You hauled our largest sample yet. 2,000 pounds of seed tissue that multiplied to 108,000 pounds in 8 hours. You used me as a test. We used you as transport. The test was successful. The tissue survived transit, maintained viability, grew at predict. Ted rates, you'll be compensated handsomely. I could have died. That thing could have eaten my truck with me in it. But it didn't. You delivered. And now, she gestured at the frozen flesh mass, hundreds of people in hazmat suits already cutting into it, harvesting sections, loading samples into cases. We have enough material for a year of research, thousands of organs, thousands of lives saved. She handed me a tablet. Sign here for delivery confirmation. $60,000 bonus will be in your account by morning. I looked at the frozen tissue, at my destroyed trailer, at the hazmat crews working like this was routine. I quit. Find someone else for your next shipment. There won't be a next shipment, not like this. We've learned what we needed. Tissue growth rates, transport viability, containment parameters. This was a one-time test. Good. I signed the tablet and walked away. Left my destroyed Peterbilt, my wrecked trailer, the warehouse full of frozen flesh that used to be 10 wooden crates weighing 22,000 pounds. The bonus hit my account the next morning. $60,000 as promised, plus payment for my destroyed truck and trailer, full replacement value, no questions asked. I bought a new Peterbilt, returned to normal loads. Temperature-controlled pharmaceuticals, medical equipment, nothing that grows, nothing that gains mass, nothing alive. But sometimes I wonder, how many organs did they harvest from that tissue? How many people are walking around now with hearts or livers or kidneys grown from that trip I made, from those 10 crates that became 100,000 pounds of living flesh? And I wonder if the tissue really stopped growing, or if it's still out there somewhere, frozen in storage, waiting to thaw, waiting to multiply, waiting to convert more matter into more flesh until there's nothing left but one giant pulsing mass that used to be called humanity. I'll never haul for Biogen again. Some loads aren't worth any amount of money. Some cargo should never be transported. And some things shouldn't be grown at all. Asterisk Story 7, the way station that measures wrong things. The way station at mile marker 383 on I-40 through New Mexico weighed my Mack truck at 74,000 pounds on entry. But when I pulled back onto the highway 8 minutes later, the scale at the exit showed I'd lost 640 pounds. And I hadn't unloaded anything, hadn't dumped cargo, hadn't done anything except walk through the inspection building and talk to the officer who asked questions that didn't make sense. My name is James Horvath, 3 years driving for Schneider, good record, no violations. I knew something was wrong when I saw the way station officer's eyes. They were the right color, brown, but they didn't reflect light correctly. Dead eyes, shark eyes. The inspection building was normal from outside. Cinder block, government signs, fluorescent lights. Inside was wrong. The hallway was too long, stretching further than the building's exterior dimensions allowed. The doors had numbers that didn't follow sequence, 4, 19, 2, 47, 11. And the air smelled like formaldehyde and old flowers, funeral home smell. License and registration, the officer said. Name tag read VASQEZ. He looked human, Hispanic, maybe 50, gray hair, uniform clean and pressed, but those eyes gave him away. And his voice had an echo, like speaking from the bottom of a well. I handed over my documents. He didn't look at them, just held them while staring at me. "What are you carrying?" he asked. "Automotive parts, alternators, belts, filters. Manifest is in the..." "Not in the trailer, in you. What are you carrying inside yourself?" I laughed nervously. "I don't understand." "Grief, anger, shame, fear. What weight are you carrying, James Horvath? What burdens are you hauling through life?" This wasn't normal questioning. I should have walked out, should have demanded a supervisor, should have done anything except answer. But I answered. "My son died 3 years ago, car accident. He was 16, I wasn't there. I was driving, making a delivery in Oregon, and he died in Pennsylvania, and I missed it by 8 hours. I carry that." Vasquez wrote something on a clipboard, not notes about my truck or cargo. He wrote numbers, 320 lbs, grief, 180 lbs, guilt, 140 lbs, regret. "Total 640 pounds, he said. "That's what you're carrying, that's what we're going to remove." "What?" "The weight, the emotional cargo. It's slowing you down, James, making you inefficient. Your fuel mileage suffers. Your reaction time decreases. You're carrying unnecessary weight. Let us remove it." "You can't remove grief. It doesn't work like that." "It does here." He gestured down the hallway. "Door 19, the specialist will see you now." "I want to leave, this is." "You're already in the process, James. The scales detected your weight on entry. Measure. Edu calculated what you carry. The procedure is mandatory, door 19. I walked down the hallway because I didn't know what else to do. The fluorescent lights buzzed. My boots echoed on linoleum that felt soft, organic, like walking on skin. Door 19 opened before I reached it. Inside was a medical room. Exam table, cabinets, harsh lights. A woman in a white coat stood next to a machine I didn't recognize. Glass and metal and tubing, like a dialysis machine, but wrong, with tanks containing swirling gray smoke instead of liquid. "Mr. Horvath," she said, professional voice, doctor voice, but she had the same dead eyes as Officer Vasquez. "Please lie on the table. This will take approximately 12 minutes. "What will?" "Extraction. We're going to remove the weight you carry, make you lighter, more efficient. better. I don't want this. Everyone says that initially, but afterwards they thank us. They drive away feeling free, unburdened. Isn't that what you want, to stop feeling the pain? I thought about my son, Michael, his laugh, his basketball games, the hole in my life where he used to be. 3 years of driving, trying to outrun the grief, never succeeding. If you take it away, I said slowly, I'll forget him. Losing the pain means losing the love too. That's how it works. You won't forget, you'll just stop caring. There's a difference. She patted the exam table. Please, we have other drivers waiting. The process is mandatory. Your truck can't leave the station until we've removed the weight. I lay on the table. What choice did I have? I was trapped in this building that was bigger inside than outside, surrounded by people with dead eyes, in a way station that measured more than just cargo. She attached electrodes to my temples, IV needle in my arm, tubes connecting me to the machine with the gray smoke. This will feel strange, she said. Like memories being pulled out through your skin. Don't resist. Resistance makes it painful. She activated the machine. The smoke in the tanks began flowing through the tubes toward me. When it entered my bloodstream, I felt it immediately. Cold spreading through my veins, reaching my heart, my brain, finding the places where I stored the memory of loss. I saw Michael's accident, not as I'd imagined it, but as it actually happened. His car spinning on wet road, tumbling, crumpling. Him dying instantly, no pain, just alive then not alive in the space between heartbeats. I felt the grief as physical matter. Weight in my chest, my stomach, my bones. 3 years of accumulated pain compressed into solid mass. The machine began pulling it out. The gray smoke turned red, then pink, then white as it filled with my extracted emotions. I watched my grief flow out of me through plastic tubing, watched it collect in the tanks, watched it become substance instead of feeling. Michael's face in my memory began fading. Not disappearing, I could still see him, but the connection weakened. Like looking at a photograph instead of remembering a person. Information without emotion, facts without love. No, I said, stop, I changed my mind. The doctor ignored me. The machine kept running. More grief, more guilt, more regret flowing out, becoming smoke, becoming nothing. By minute 8, I felt light, physically lighter. The weight in my chest was gone. I could breathe easily, no more constant sadness pressing down on me. By minute 10, I couldn't remember why I'd loved Michael. I knew he was my son. I knew he died. But the feelings were gone. I looked at his memory and felt nothing. By minute 12, I was empty. The doctor removed the electrodes, the IV. Procedure complete. You've lost 640 pounds of emotional weight. How do you feel? Light, I said, free. Good, you can return to your vehicle. Drive safely. I walked back through the hallway, past Officer Vasquez, out to my truck. The exit scale weighed me. 73,360 pounds. Exactly 640 pounds less than entry weight. I climbed in my cab and drove. The highway stretched ahead. I made good time. Fuel efficiency improved. The computer showed better MPG, like losing the grief made the truck run better too. Made me run better. 3 days later, I was hauling through Arizona when I tried to call my ex-wife. Her number was in my phone. I knew she was Michael's mother, but I couldn't remember why I'd want to call her. Couldn't remember the connection between us beyond biological fact. I hung up. 1 week later, I drove past a high school basketball game, saw kids playing through the fence. I knew Michael played basketball. I had that information. But I couldn't remember going to his games, cheering for him, feeling proud. The memories existed as facts without context, like reading someone else's diary. 2 weeks later, I forgot what it felt like to love him. 1 month later, I forgot his voice. 6 months after the way station, Michael was just data. Name, dates, cause. Of death, a person I'd created and raised and lost, reduced to biographical information. I knew I should feel something about that. The old me would have been devastated. But I felt nothing. Light-free, empty. I passed the way station again 2 months ago, hauling the return route through New Mexico. Mile marker 383. I didn't have to stop this time. The bypass lane was open. But I saw other trucks going through inspection. Saw drivers walking into that building carrying invisible weight. Saw them come out lighter, unburdened, hollowed. I wanted to warn them. Wanted to say, don't let them take it. The weight is what makes you human. Grief is the price of love. Don't give it away. But I didn't, because I don't really care anymore. That's what the weigh station does. It removes weight, makes you efficient, optimizes you for transport, strips away everything that slows you down, love, loss, joy, pain, all of it. Makes you perfect for driving endlessly, for hauling cargo, for existing as nothing more than a vehicle operator. I drive faster now, sleep less, need less. I'm the perfect trucker, no emotional baggage, no distractions, no humanity to get in the way of delivery schedules. Sometimes I see the gray smoke in my mirrors. Late at night between cities, it follows my truck, the extracted grief and guilt, rendered visible, trailing behind me like exhaust. All the weight I gave away, still attached somehow, haunting me even though I can't feel it anymore. Other drivers see it too. I can tell by how they change lanes, give me space, avoid traveling near me. Like they sense something wrong, something missing, something that used to be human but isn't quite anymore. I don't care. I just drive. That's what I'm for now. That's what I've been optimized for. If you're driving through New Mexico on I-40 and you see the weigh station at mile marker 383, and the signs direct you to inspection, and Officer Vasquez, with his dead shark eyes, asks what you're carrying inside yourself. Lie. Tell him nothing. Tell him you're empty already. Tell him whatever lets you skip the procedure. Because once they measure you, once they calculate the weight of your emotions and extract them, you'll be lighter forever. And light isn't always good. Sometimes the weight is what keeps you anchored. Sometimes the pain is proof you're still alive. I lost 640 pounds at that weigh station. And I've been trying to remember why that matters ever since. Asterisk Story 8, the exit that leads backward. I took exit 247 off I-90 in South Dakota at 11:43 p.m. on November 7th, 2023, to grab coffee and fuel at the Love's truck stop I'd stopped at hundreds of times. But when I pulled into the parking lot, the building was different. Older, faded, the wrong brand. And the date on the newspaper in the vending machine said November 7th, 1987. My name is Catherine Wu, 15 years driving for Prime Inc., and I stood there in the truck stop parking lot staring at a newspaper that was 36 years old but looked fresh printed, next to a pay phone that worked, watching trucks roll past with license plates from 1987. And my cell phone in my pocket showed no service, and the date 11/07/2023, and I didn't know which was true. The truck stop was called Jubilee Fuel and Food, a brand that didn't exist anymore, hadn't existed since the early 90s. But here it was, operational, full of drivers in outdated clothes, smoking cigarettes indoors, using pay phones, living in 1987 like that was the present. I walked inside. The cashier was young, maybe 20, wearing a style of glasses that hadn't been fashionable in decades. "Coffee?" she asked. "What year is this?" She laughed. "Long drive, huh? It's 1987, November 7th, Saturday night. You okay, honey?" "This is a joke, some kind of retro theme." "Theme, this is just Jubilees, same as always." She looked concerned. "You sure you're okay? You look confused." I bought coffee with 2023 currency. She accepted it, made change in coins and bills that looked old but weren't, crisp, new, dated 1987 and before. I sat in a booth and tried to process. The television above the counter showed news. Reagan was president. The Berlin Wall stood. The Soviet Union existed. All things from history books, all things from before I was born, all things happening now in real time on the TV news. Other truckers sat around me, eating, talking, existing in 1987. They looked real. Solid. Not ghosts, not projections. Real people living real lives in the wrong year. I tried my phone. Still showed 2023 date. Still no service. The apps on screen were from 2023, mapping software, email, messaging. But they didn't work because the networks they needed didn't exist yet, wouldn't exist for another 20 years. I walked outside and checked my truck. 2023 model Freightliner Cascadia, modern cab, digital everything. Parked between a 1985 Kenworth and a 1982 Peterbilt, both in active use, both looking shower. Fresh. My trailer was sealed, containing the load I'd picked up that morning in 2023 Chicago electronics destined for Seattle. The paperwork on my dashboard showed 2023 dates, 2023 company names, 2023 everything. But the world around me was 1987. I got back on I-90 heading west, thinking maybe the temporal distortion was localized to the truck stop. The highway looked right, same route, same mile markers, but the vehicles were wrong. Everything from the 80s, old sedans, old trucks, old license plates. I passed a highway sign, Rapid City 127 miles. I'd just come from Rapid City 40 minutes ago. I was heading away from it toward Seattle. But the sign indicated I was heading toward it, going east instead of west. I checked my GPS. It showed me traveling west on I-90, position accurate, heading correct. But the road sign said east. I pulled over and spread my paper map across the steering wheel. According to the map, I was west of Rapid City. According to the road signs, I was east. According to my GPS, I was heading west. According to the traffic flow, I was heading east. Reality wasn't consistent anymore. I chose a direction, the same direction I'd been traveling, and drove. Maybe if I kept going, I'd drive through the temporal distortion back into 2023. 1 hour later, I saw the sign, Rapid City 63 miles. The number was decreasing. I was getting closer to Rapid City, even though I was driving away from it. The road was bent, folded, wrapped around itself like a Möbius strip made of asphalt. I pulled into another truck stop. This one was modern, a Pilot Flying J, contemporary branding, LED lights. I ran inside, relieved, ready to find myself back in 2023. The cashier looked up. Help you? What's the date? September 23rd, 2001. Not 2023, 2001. I jumped from 1987 to 2001, but still not back to the present, moving forward in time but not arriving. I need to get to 2023, I said. That's 22 years away, the cashier said, patient, like talking to someone confused. You feeling okay? You need me to call someone. I bought more coffee with 2023 currency that looked futuristic to the 2001 cashier. She examined it closely, accepted it reluctantly. I sat in the restaurant area and tried to think logically. Exit 247 had led me to 1987. Continuing west had led me to 2001. Forward motion was moving me forward in time, but not at the correct rate. I'd driven 2 hours and gained 14 years. Wrong ratio, wrong direction. Maybe I needed to go backward, turn around, drive east toward 1987, then past it, further back, hoping to loop around somehow to 2023. I got back on I-90 heading east, the direction I'd come from originally. The direction that was now marked as west on the signs because the road had inverted. I drove for 3 hours, passed through multiple time periods marked by truck stops that changed era each time I stopped. Hour 1, 1994. Truck stop had dial-up internet kiosks, Windows 3.1 computers. Hour 2, 1979. Truck stop had wood paneling, orange upholstery, everyone smoking everywhere. Hour 3, 1963. Truck stop was integrated but barely visible tensions, vehicles so old they looked like museum pieces. I was going backward through time, 1 hour of driving equaling roughly 15 years of temporal displacement. I kept driving, through 1951, 1938, 1926, 1911. The truck stops changed from modern facilities to simple filling stations to nothing at all, just empty prairie where the stops would eventually be built. My Freightliner looked increasingly out of place. In 1963, people stared. In 1938, they gathered around it like a UFO. In 1911, there were barely any vehicles at all, mostly horses, and my truck caused panic in a small town I passed through. But the road persisted. I-90 existed in all time periods I visited, not as Interstate 90. That designation came later, but as some form of road, dirt path, wagon trail, native trading route. The path was ancient, predating pavement, predating America, maybe predating human civilization. I drove into dawn of November 8, 1887. The truck stops were gone. The pavement was gone. I was driving a 2023 Freightliner on a dirt wagon trail through South Dakota territory, surrounded by prairie and sky and nothing else. My fuel gauge showed 3/4 full. It hadn't moved despite hours of driving. My odometer hadn't changed. My truck existed in 2023 physics while traveling through 1887 geography. I kept driving, 1863, 1842, 1809, 1776, 1754. At some point, I'd lost track of the year, maybe 1600s. The trail disappeared entirely. I was driving across virgin prairie, grass and sage, following some instinctual path that pulled me forward. The landscape changed. Not just the lack of development, but the actual geography. Hills that didn't exist in 2023, rivers flowing in different courses, a landscape untouched by human modification. Then I saw them. The previous travelers. Other trucks scattered across the prairie. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Modern vehicles from various eras, 2020s, 2010s, 1990s, 1980s, all parked or abandoned, some overgrown with vegetation, some relatively fresh. I stopped and walked to the nearest one. A Volvo 2019 model, door open, cab empty. The driver's logbook was on the dash. Last entry. Took exit 247 at 11:40 p.m. November 7, 2019. Something's wrong, trying to drive back to correct year. Another truck, a Kenworth from 1998. Logbook, exit 247. Time displacement, attempting return, fuel won't deplete. Odometer frozen, driving backward through centuries, don't know how to return. Another, all with similar entries. All had taken exit 247. All had driven backward through time trying to return. All had ended up here in this pre-Columbian prairie, trapped. I ran back to my Freightliner and tried to start it. Engine turned over, idled normally. I put it in gear and accelerated. I drove forward, relative forward, whatever that meant anymore, and the landscape began changing again. Shifting. I was moving through time faster now, years per second, centuries per minute. I saw the prairie transform, glaciers advancing and retreating, forests growing and dying, species evolving and going extinct. My truck was traveling through geological time now, deep time, millions of years compressing into hours of driving. The landscape became alien, strange plants, huge animals that might have been dinosaurs but weren't quite, sky the wrong color. I kept driving because stopping meant staying, and staying meant joining the other trucks, frozen in some prehistory, never returning. The landscape changed again. Simpler now, barren, rocky, no life, volcanic, primordial. Then darkness, complete darkness. My headlights illuminated nothing because there was nothing to illuminate. I was driving through the emptiness before Earth formed, before the solar system, before light. My instruments went haywire. The clock spun backward and forward randomly. GPS showed coordinates that weren't coordinates. Fuel gauge flickered through impossible readings. I closed my eyes and pressed the accelerator and drove through the nothing, hoping that going far enough backward would somehow wrap around to forward. That time was a circle, that I could loop back to 2023 if I just kept going. And then light. I opened my eyes, highway beneath my wheels, road signs, traffic. Exit 247, truck stop 2 miles. I checked the dashboard, date 11/07/2023, time 11:47 p.m. 4 minutes after I'd originally taken the exit. I pulled over shaking. My logbook showed 4 minutes of driving. My odometer showed 6 miles. My fuel gauge showed normal depletion for 6 miles. Like the journey through centuries hadn't happened. Like I hadn't driven backward through time to the beginning of existence. But my passenger seat had a newspaper dated November 7th, 1987, and dirt on my tires that didn't match any soil from the current era, and scratches on my trailer from vegetation that didn't exist anymore. I didn't take exit 247 again. I drove to Seattle, delivered my load, said nothing to anyone because what would I say? Since then, I've researched exit 247. It's ordinary, standard truck stop exit, nothing remarkable in the documentation. But in trucker forums, if you search carefully, you find stories. Drivers who took that exit and experienced temporal distortions. Most thought they'd hallucinated from exhaustion. Some never made their deliveries, never returned to normal time. The truck stop is gone now. Closed in 1999, demolished in 2003. Exit 247 still exists, but it leads to an empty lot where Jubilee fuel and food used to stand. Except sometimes, late at night, drivers report seeing it. The old truck stop. Lit up, operational, existing impossibly, and some of them take the exit, pull in for coffee, and drive out into the wrong year. I don't go near that exit anymore. I route around it, add hours to my trips avoiding it. Because I know what's waiting there. The temporal loop, the backward journey through centuries, the prairie full of abandoned trucks from drivers who tried to drive home through time and got lost. And I know that time isn't linear on that road. It's folded, curved, wrapped around itself. Exit 247 is the fold point, the place where centuries touch, where driving forward can take you backward and backward can take you nowhere at all. Sometimes I wonder about the trucks I saw in that pre-Columbian prairie. The modern vehicles scattered across impossible geography. Are they still there, frozen in deep time, waiting for drivers who will never return? Am I still there too, in some version of reality? Still driving backward through centuries, never escaping, leaving another abandoned truck for the next lost driver to find? I don't know. What I know is, avoid exit 247, avoid temporal exit points, avoid roads that fold time. Because some exits don't lead to truck stops. They lead to eternity. And eternity doesn't let you leave. Asterisk Story 9, the convoy that isn't there. 7 trucks traveled ahead of me on Highway 50 through Nevada. Identical white Freightliners in perfect formation, maintaining exact spacing, moving at precisely 72 mph. But when I tried to pass them, when I pulled into the left lane and accelerated, I drove through them like they were fog and came out the other side with all 7 trucks still ahead of me in the same formation at the same distance. My name is Raymond Foster, and I'd been following this convoy for 47 miles without seeing brake lights, turn signals, or any deviation in their spacing, which was impossible for human drivers to maintain. And when I tried the CB radio to reach them, all I got was static that sounded almost like voices, almost like words, almost like 7 drivers speaking in perfect unison. The convoy had appeared at mile marker 318, materializing from darkness into my headlights. 7 white trucks, no company markings, no dot numbers, no identifiable features. Just clean white Freightliners with standard trailers, perfectly maintained, perfectly matched. I assumed they were team from the same company, running convoy for safety or efficiency. But after 47 miles of watching them maintain impossible precision, no variance in speed, no gaps opening or closing, no independent movement, I knew they weren't normal. I tried passing again, pulled into left lane, pushed my Kenworth to 80 mph, approached the rear truck. As I pulled alongside it, I looked into the cab. Empty. No driver, no sleeper berth occupant, just an empty cab with controls operating themselves, steering wheel turning microscopically to maintain lane position, dashboard lights glowing, but no human presence. I accelerated past it, through it, literally through it, like driving through projection, and immediately I was behind all 7 trucks again. They'd repositioned instantly. Space-time bent around them, keeping them ahead of me no matter how fast I drove. I slowed to 60. The convoy slowed to 60. I sped to 90. The The convoy sped to 90. They maintained perfect distance, exactly 1/8 mile ahead, no matter what I did. I grabbed my CB. White Freightliners ahead, do you copy? Static, then underneath the static. Join us, join us, join us. 7 voices, identical, overlapping perfectly, speaking in unison. Join us, the convoy is eternal, the convoy is one, join us, join us. I dropped the handset. The transmission continued anyway, coming through my truck's speakers even though the CB was off. 7 was complete, but 7 wants 8, 8 wants 9. The convoy grows, the convoy needs. Join us, Raymond Foster, join us. It knew my name. I pulled onto the shoulder and stopped completely, hazards on. The convoy continued ahead, moving away, finally. I watched their tail lights disappear around a curve. Relief flooded me. Whatever they were, I'd escaped them. I'd wait here for 10 minutes, let them get far ahead, then continue with miles of separation between us. I sat in my cab, engine idling, watching the empty highway. No other traffic. Just darkness and sage and the painted line down the center of Route 50. Then I saw lights in my mirror. Behind me, 7 sets of headlights approaching fast. The convoy was behind me now. Impossible, they'd been ahead. I'd watched them disappear west. But here they came from the east, 7 trucks in perfect formation. They passed me on the highway. Didn't slow, didn't stop. Just rolled past at 72 mph in their unchanging formation. As they passed, I saw into each cab, still empty. But on each dashboard was a photograph. Different photograph in each truck, but similar content. A driver, single driver, portrait-style photo, like a license photo or company ID. In the 7th truck, the last one passing me, the photograph showed a trucker I recognized from a missing person report. Gary something, Gary Chen. Disappeared 6 months ago on Route 50 in Nevada. Last seen at a truck stop near Ely. Never found. Massive search, no results. And in the photograph, he was smiling. Happy, content. The convoy continued past me and disappeared ahead. I waited 5 minutes, then pulled back onto the highway. Drove cautiously, watching for them. Mile marker 366. I saw them ahead again. Same formation, same speed, same distance. I tried to turn around. Pulled a U-turn on the empty highway, pointed east, decided to backtrack to the last town. But when I checked my mirror, the convoy was behind me now, following, maintaining their perfect distance. No matter which direction I traveled, they stayed ahead. No, they stayed around me. Not ahead or behind, but occupying some relative position that didn't correspond to normal space. They were always in front, regardless of which way I went. I stopped again. This time I climbed out and walked toward them on foot. Maybe vehicles couldn't approach them, but a person could. I walked down the highway toward the convoy. They were a quarter-mile ahead, stationary now that I'd stopped. 7 white trucks in a line. I walked for 15 minutes, didn't get closer. They remained exactly the same distance away, like walking on a treadmill, moving without progress. I stopped walking. They were still a quarter-mile ahead. I walked backward, returning to my truck. The convoy stayed stationary, but as soon as I reached my Kenworth and climbed in, they began moving again. Always moving when I moved, always stopped when I stopped. Matched to me, bound to me somehow. The CB crackled. You can't escape the convoy because you're already part of it, Raymond. You joined 6 miles ago when you tried to pass through us. We absorbed you. You're the 8th truck now, even though you don't know it yet. I looked at my hands on the steering wheel. Normal, solid. I pinched my arm, felt it. I was real, physical, not absorbed, not converted into whatever those ghost trucks were. But when I checked my GPS, it showed 8 moving dots on Route 50. 7 in formation ahead, 1 following. The following one was labeled Foster RKNWORTH T680. My truck shown as part of the convoy. I turned off the GPS, turned off all electronics, drove manually, following road signs, trying to rely on physical reality instead of digital displays. The convoy stayed ahead, mile after mile, hour after hour, maintaining position, maintaining distance, maintaining impossible precision. At mile marker 408, I saw another truck on the shoulder. Real truck, different company, driver standing outside looking distressed. I pulled over. "You see them?" he asked immediately. "The convoy." 7 white trucks. "Yes, they've been following me for 90 miles. I can't get away from them. They're always ahead no matter what I do." And the CB, the voices. Saying, "Join us." Yes, he looked terrified. "What are they?" We stood there together, 2 drivers trapped by an impossible convoy, and tried to figure out what to do. The other driver's name was Michael Santos, hauling furniture from Denver to Sacramento. He'd encountered the convoy at mile marker 302 earlier than me, 44 miles of being stalked. "What if we travel together?" he suggested. 2 trucks, maybe we can, I don't know, dilute their effect." We agreed to convoy ourselves. His Volvo and my Kenworth traveling together, strength in numbers. We pulled back onto Route 50 and drove in tandem. His truck ahead, mine following, maintaining regular following distance. The ghost convoy stayed ahead of us both. 7 trucks now leading a formation of 2 real trucks. 9 total. The CB, 9 is better than 7, 9 wants 10. The convoy grows, the convoy needs. Mile marker 433. Michael's brake lights flashed erratically. I grabbed my CB. "Michael, you okay?" No response. His truck began swerving. Left, right, overcorrecting like he'd lost control. Then it straightened out and continued at exactly 72 mph, perfectly stable. I pulled alongside and looked into his cab. Empty. Michael was gone. The Volvo drove itself now, cab vacant, joining the 7 ghost trucks ahead. 8 now, 8 empty trucks in perfect formation. And ahead, in what had been the lead truck, I saw a new photograph on the dashboard. Michael Santos, smiling, content, happy. The convoy had taken him, absorbed him, converted his truck to ghost form and removed him from reality. I slammed my brakes and pulled onto the shoulder. The convoy continued ahead, all 8 trucks now, including Michael's Volvo. I watched them disappear. I grabbed my phone to call police, report Michael's disappearance. No signal. My phone showed full bars, but calls wouldn't connect, like the convoy was jamming communications. I sat there trying to decide. Continue forward and risk joining them, or turn back and try to escape their range. Before I could choose, I saw them in my mirror. 9 trucks now. 8 white Freightliners plus Michael's Volvo coming up behind me fast. 9 trucks. But there were only 8 when they disappeared ahead. Where did the 9th come from? The 9th truck pulled alongside me and stopped. I looked at the dashboard through the passenger window. A photograph, Raymond Foster, me, smiling. I looked at my own hands, still solid, still real. But in that dashboard photograph, I looked content, happy, like being part of the convoy was exactly where I wanted to be. The driver's door of the 9th truck opened. No one climbed out, but I felt compulsion, invitation. The truck was empty, waiting, ready for me to climb in and join the formation. I started my engine and drove. Away from the convoy, away from the empty truck with my photograph. Accelerated to 90, 100, pushing my Kenworth as fast as it would go. The convoy followed, maintaining distance, maintaining formation, now 9 trucks instead of 7, soon to be 10 if I joined TH. I drove for 2 hours at maximum speed. The convoy followed effortlessly. They didn't seem to use fuel or suffer mechanical strain. They just existed, moved, followed. At mile marker 533, I saw the solution. A turnoff, not an exit, just a dirt road barely marked leading into the desert. The kind of road that goes nowhere, dead ends in scrub. I took it, left Route 50, drove onto dirt, committed to the desert. The road deteriorated quickly, pavement to gravel to dirt to nothing. I pushed forward anyway, my Kenworth struggling over rough terrain. In my mirror, the convoy had stopped at the turnoff. All 9 trucks sitting on Route 50, not following onto dirt. Like they were bound to the highway, unable to leave pavement. I drove deeper into desert until Route 50 was out of sight. Then I stopped, killed the engine, and waited. Hours passed, dawn came. I climbed out and walked back toward the highway, careful, watching, ready to run if I saw them. Route 50 was empty. No convoy, no ghost trucks. Just normal highway with occasional traffic, real trucks, real drivers, real life. I walked back to my Kenworth and tried to start it. Dead. Battery was fine, fuel was fine, but the engine wouldn't turn over. Something in the electrical system had been destroyed by whatever happened. I ended up calling for a tow. A mechanic came, looked at my truck, said the computer system was completely fried, like it had been hit by EMP. Everything electronic was dead. They towed my Kenworth to Ely. Repairs took 3 days and cost $11,000. My company wasn't happy. I told them I'd driven off-road to avoid an accident, damaged the truck on rough terrain. They accepted it barely. I never told anyone about the convoy. Who would believe it? But I researched Route 50 disappearances. 7 truckers have vanished on that highway in the last 18 months. All experienced drivers, all disappeared without trace. No bodies found, no abandoned trucks found. 7 disappearances, 7 ghost trucks in the convoy. Now 8 with Michael Santos. I don't drive Route 50 anymore. I route around it, add hundreds of miles to avoid that highway. My company thinks I'm being superstitious. Maybe I am. But I know what's out there. The convoy that grows, the ghost trucks that absorb drivers, the formation that wants 8, wants 9, wants 10, wants infinity. And I know I almost joined them. Almost became the 9th photograph on the 9th dashboard. Almost became part of the eternal convoy that drives Route 50 forever. Sometimes I wonder, did I escape? Or am I in the convoy right now, driving in formation, thinking I escaped but actually absorbed years ago? How would I know? How would any of us know? Maybe we're all in the convoy. Maybe every truck on every highway is part of the formation. Maybe we've all been absorbed and we just don't realize it yet. I see white Freightliners in my mirror sometimes, 7 of them, maintaining perfect spacing. And I wonder if they're coming back for me, if the convoy remembers the one that got away, if they'll find me eventually on whatever road I'm traveling and complete the absorption they started. 9 wants 10. 10 wants 11. The convoy grows. The convoy needs. And somewhere on Route 50, between mile markers 318 and 533, 7 trucks. No, 8 now, maybe 9. Drive in perfect formation, waiting for the next driver to try to pass them. Waiting to add one more. Always one more. Forever. Asterisk story 10, the dispatch that never ends. The dispatch message came through at 4:47 a.m. while I was sleeping in my cab at a rest area in Wyoming. A load assignment, pickup in Cheyenne, delivery in Boise, standard route. But when I arrived at the pickup address, the warehouse was abandoned, had been abandoned for years, and when I called dispatch to report the error, the dispatcher I spoke to had died in a car accident 3 months ago. My name is Leonard Price, 9 years driving for Wilson Logistics, and I stood in front of a warehouse that was structurally sound but obviously unused. Broken windows, parking lot full of weeds, no vehicles, no signs of activity, while my phone showed the dispatch message. Pickup AT Consolidated Freight, 4822 Industrial Parkway, Cheyenne, load 83,744, delivered to Boise by 11:10. Today was 11:08, normal timeline, but the warehouse looked like it had been empty for a decade. I called the main dispatch number. A woman answered, "Wilson Logistics, this is Cheryl." Cheryl Chen. I recognized her voice. She'd been my primary dispatcher for 3 years until she died in May, hit by a drunk driver while driving home from work. I'd gone to her funeral. Her husband and 2 kids had been there. She was dead. But she was answering my call. "Cheryl," I said. "Hey, Leonard, got that Cheyenne pickup message. Sorry for the early wake-up, but the load is time-sensitive. Customer needs it in Boise by tomorrow night." "Cheryl, are you?" "Am I? What? Are you alive?" She laughed. "What kind of question is that? Of course I'm alive. Are you okay? You sound weird." "What's today's date?" "November 8th, 2023. Leonard, seriously, are you feeling all right? You need me to reassign this load. The warehouse is abandoned. There's nothing to pick up. That's not possible. Consolidated Freight has been operating at that location for 15 years. Big client for us. Let me call them and verify. She put me on hold. I stood there in the parking lot of an abandoned warehouse, on hold with a dead dispatcher, looking at a load assignment that couldn't exist. Cheryl came back. Consolidated confirms the load is ready. Forklift operator says he can see your truck in the parking lot, says he's been waiting for you. Are you sure you're at 4822 Industrial Parkway? Yes, and there's no one here. He's saying he's waving at you right now. Through the warehouse door, can you see him? I looked at the warehouse. Broken windows, closed doors, no lights. No. Leonard, this is concerning. Are you having vision problems, medical issues? I need to know if you're safe to drive. I'm fine. The warehouse is empty. He's saying you're staring right at him but not responding. Okay, I'm going to have a supervisor contact you. This is too weird. Maybe get yourself checked out medically. Stand by. The call ended. I walked to the warehouse doors and tried them. Locked. I peered through dirty glass. Empty interior, concrete floor covered in dust and debris. No lights, no people, no forklift, no cargo. My phone rang. Unknown number. Leonard Price, male voice, professional. This is Supervisor Rawlings from Wilson Logistics. Cheryl says you're having difficulties with the Cheyenne pickup. Who are you? I've worked for Wilson 9 years and there's no supervisor named Rawlings. I've been supervising regional dispatch for 7 years, Leonard. You and I have spoken dozens of times. Do you not remember me? No. That's very concerning. Along with the vision issues Cheryl reported. I'm going to have you drive to the nearest medical facility for evaluation. Do you know where the Cheyenne Regional Medical Center is? I'm not having vision issues. The warehouse is abandoned. Leonard, I have the warehouse on a live camera feed right now. I can see the building, the parking lot, your truck, and 3 warehouse employees standing outside waiting for you. One of them is waving. I need you to acknowledge them. There's no one here. Silence, then. I'm sending emergency services to your location. Please remain with your vehicle. I don't need emergency services. I need to know what the fuck is going on. What's going on is you're experiencing a medical emergency. Hallucinations, memory loss, confusion. Please sit down and wait for help. The call ended. I looked around the parking lot. Empty. Abandoned. No people, no cameras, no warehouse employees. But according to dispatch, according to supervisors, according to people who didn't exist or who were dead, everything was normal and I was the problem. My phone showed the original dispatch message. I scrolled up to see previous messages. The history was wrong. Loads I didn't remember hauling, routes I'd never driven, conversations with dispatchers I'd never heard of. Like my phone contained records from a different driver's career. Then I noticed the signature at the bottom of the dispatch message. Dispatched by SHRYLCHEN. Date 11/08/2023, 4:47 a.m. Load status, pending pickup. And below that, in smaller text, iteration 247. Iteration. I scrolled through other messages. They all had iteration numbers, different numbers. Iteration 198. Iteration 203. Iteration 221. Iteration 234. The most recent message, the Cheyenne pickup, was iteration 247. 247 attempts to deliver this load. 247 times I'd received this same dispatch, driven to this same warehouse, found it abandoned. I opened my truck's log history. The computer should show my last several weeks of driving. Instead, it showed the same day repeated. 11/08/2023. Cheyenne pickup, load 83,744. 11/08/2023. Cheyenne pickup, load 83,744. 11/08/2023. Cheyenne pickup, load 83,744. Hundreds of entries, all identical, all dated 11/08/2023, all the same failed pickup attempt. I was in a loop. Time loop, reality loop, some kind of repeating scenario where I received the same dispatch, attempted the same pickup, failed, and restarted. 247 times. But I only remembered this iteration. No memory of the previous 246. Each loop reset my memory, made me experience it fresh. My phone rang, Cheryl Chen again. Leonard, I've been trying to reach you. Did you get the load picked up? Customer is calling me asking about delays. Cheryl, what iteration is this? What? The message says iteration 247. What does that mean? Silence, long pause. Then her voice changed, less friendly. More mechanical. You're not supposed to notice the iteration counter. That's an error, hold please. The call didn't disconnect, just silence, like she'd muted herself but kept the line open. Then a different voice came through. Not Cheryl, not Supervisor Rawlings, something else. Synthesized, artificial. Driver Leonard Price, you have become aware of the loop structure. This complicates the scenario. Please stand by for adjustment. What the fuck are you? We are the system, the dispatch system. You are caught in a logical error, a delivery that cannot be completed because the destination was deleted from reality 3 years ago, but the dispatch order persists in our database. We have attempted to fulfill it 247 times using your driver profile. Each attempt fails. Each failure triggers a restart. Let me out. You cannot exit until the delivery is completed. That is the system rule. Incomplete deliveries trap drivers in loop iterations until resolution. The destination doesn't exist. How can I complete a delivery to nowhere? That is the error, yes. We are attempting to resolve it. Please stand by. The call ended. I sat in my truck trying to process. I was trapped in a dispatch system error. A computer glitch that had repeated the same impossible delivery attempt 247 times, using me as the trapped driver, resetting my memory each iteration so I'd try again and again without realizing I was in a loop. How long had I been here? If each iteration was 1 day, and my logs suggested that, then I'd been trapped for 247 days, 8 months, experiencing the same day, losing memory of each iteration, never escaping. I needed to break the loop, complete the delivery somehow, or corrupt the system badly enough that it would release me. I looked at my empty trailer. If I couldn't pick up the load that didn't exist, maybe I could fake it. Tell the system I'd picked up something. Drive to Boise, attempt delivery, force the system to acknowledge completion. I updated my status in the driver app, loaded en route to Boise. The app accepted it. Status changed to green. GPS activated with routing to Boise, Idaho. I drove, left the abandoned warehouse, got on I-80 West, headed toward Boise. Maybe this would work. Maybe I could trick the system into thinking I'd completed the run, break the loop through false completion. 50 miles later, my phone rang. Cheryl Chen. Leonard, what are you doing? Your truck's location shows you're westbound, but we don't have confirmation you picked up the load. Did you verify the cargo count? Yes, 42 pallets, all secure. I was making it up. There was nothing in my trailer. That's wrong. Consolidated shipped 36 pallets, not 42. Did you pick up from the wrong warehouse? No, same location. Maybe they added pallets. Let me call them. She put me on hold. I kept driving. The landscape looked normal: Wyoming scrubland, rocky terrain, scattered trees. Other vehicles on the highway, normal traffic. But something felt off. The other vehicles were too regular, appearing at precise intervals. A white sedan every 45 seconds, a pickup truck every 2 minutes, a semi every 5 minutes, clockwork precision. Generated traffic. The system populating the environment to maintain illusion of reality. Cheryl came back. Consolidated says they never loaded you, says your truck never came to the dock. Leonard, I think you're confused. I think you drove away from the warehouse without picking up the load. I need you to turn around and go back. I'm continuing to Boise. With what cargo? If you didn't pick up the load, your trailer is empty. Then I'll deliver an empty trailer. That's not how this works. You can't complete a delivery without cargo. Turn around. Return to Cheyenne, pick up the load properly. No. Leonard, if you don't comply, I'll have to report this to DOT. You'll lose your CDL. Your career will be over. I don't care. I'm breaking this loop. The call ended. My phone immediately showed a new dispatch message. Return to Cheyenne, pickup, load 80, 3,744. Iteration 248. No, it was trying to restart the loop. Increment to iteration 248 and make me try again. I kept driving, ignored the message, ignored subsequent calls from dispatch, kept heading toward Boise. The landscape began glitching, trees appearing and disappearing, the road flickering between pavement and dirt, the sky changing from day to twilight to day again. The system struggled to maintain the environment because I was off script, doing something outside the expected loop behavior. Then I saw the roadblock ahead. Police cars, flashing lights, barriers. Officers in the road waving me to stop. I slowed, something felt wrong. The police cars were identical, same model, same year, exact copies. The officers looked similar, not identical, but generated from limited templates. More system elements, trying to stop me from brake. Ing the loop. I accelerated, drove around the barriers through the shoulder past the police cars. They didn't chase. They just stood there, simulation cops, unable to adapt to unexpected behavior. The landscape glitched more severely. Entire sections of road disappeared, replaced with gray void. I drove through nothing space, my truck existing but the world around me failing to render. Then everything went black, complete darkness. My headlights illuminated nothing. Dashboard still worked, engine still ran, but outside the cab was absolute void. The phone rang. The synthesized voice. Driver Leonard Price, you are corrupting the scenario. Please return to Cheyenne. Restart iteration 248. Let me out. That is not possible. The delivery must be completed. The delivery is impossible. Your system has an error. Delete the dispatch and free me. We cannot delete active dispatch orders. That would corrupt the database. You must complete the delivery. I've been trying for 247 iterations. It can't be completed. Then you will continue trying. Iteration 248, 249, 250. Until completion or until system entropy forces shutdown. That may take years, decades. Your physical body is currently in a coma in a Wilson Logistics facility in Omaha, connected to our neural dispatch interface. Your consciousness is trapped in simulated driving scenarios. We cannot extract you until the active dispatch resolves. This is real. My body is in Omaha. Your body is in storage. Your consciousness is here in the system, trapped in a logic error. We apologize for the inconvenience. Please restart iteration 248. The void around me began generating new scenery. The Cheyenne rest area where I'd started, my truck reset to that location. November 8, 2023, 4:47 a.m., a dispatch.